No, we do not need Roman winning 2 Rumbles. But I hear you. That line was good, but I have faith in the WWE writers that they could have written something that would have sufficed and worked equally as well.
Now, you need to have a little more faith in your tribal chief, because this has been an alarming last few minutes, especially in terms of your accommodations for your trip to Milwaukee. So that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Welcome to the Lariat Lounge. This is the home of smart takes, hard hits, and real talk. I'm your host, Everson Godfrey, co-host Andrew Skeens. Skeener, we are fresh off the Royal Rumble. The Monday Raw after the Rumble did not disappoint. SmackDown wasn't even that bad, to be honest. It's been a really great 4 days technically, but really 3 days of wrestling. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot of things that happened at the Rumble that I absolutely did not expect to happen. Some things that I did not want to happen. Some things that we absolutely expected were going to take place. And Raw did not disappoint with regard to how it was going to follow up, how it's going to set some things up. And there's one thing in particular I'm way more excited about than I anticipated I was going to be. But we will get into all of that this episode. Before we get into anything else, Skeener, how you doing, brother?
It couldn't be anything less than fantastic now that our OTC is back. He's back on top of the company, main event in the shows, just like he was in the good times. So everything's right in the world.
Until he takes another sabbatical. He'll be here through Mania.
Did you see that chain sparkling? Them
I
black
did.
diamonds.
I did. Listen, the paychecks have been good to our tribal chief. I will say this.
I got to order. Man.
Say what now?
I said there's a new shirt I got to order.
Oh, it's a new Roman shirt?
Yeah. Maybe for the chain, like, they do like replica title belts at a lower cost. Maybe I'll get the replica chain at a lower cost and not the authentic one.
Well, I will be looking forward to
the Walmart plastic version.
I'll be looking forward to seeing your knockoff black diamond chain when we are in person hanging out for WrestleMania. Which, by the way, if you guys did not know, WrestleMania this year, I will be flying out to Milwaukee to hang out with Skeener. We'll be doing the episode of the Lariat Lounge live in person together for WrestleMania. It's going to be freaking awesome. I hope you all can come out and hang out with us. Don't come to Skeener's house. That's not what I meant. I meant show up on the live stream and sit and chat with us that way virtually, because I like you guys. I don't know you like that. And it's not my house to be inviting you to. So let's just fall back, relax, take a breath, and let's enjoy this. But hey, listen, Skeener, before we get started, can you please let the audience know where they can tell others how they can catch up with us here at the Lariat Lounge?
The Lariat Lounge is coming at you once a week, every week, wherever you get your podcasts. That's Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify. Everywhere you get your shows, that's where we'll be, where you can find us, leave us comments, like ratings, all that fun stuff. We're over on Instagram at the Lariat Lounge Podcast. That's where you'll find any polls, where you can DM us, interact with us, yell at us, harass us, bully us, anything you want to do. We're happy for it over there. And as always, the email inbox is open at thelariatlounge@gmail.com.
That's where you can reach us, guys. Listen, I heard there were some people who were going to reach out to us via the email, and I haven't heard from a single one of you. So either you don't have email addresses.
I just bothered him via text message about it.
Listen, it's always open. We're waiting to hear from you guys. Whatever you got to say, we will read it on air. We will talk about it, discuss it. The floor is yours if you would like to take it. But if you are listening to this podcast, wherever you listen to it, and you're enjoying what you're listening to, or you're enjoying what we're putting out during the PLEs on Lariat Lounge Live, leave us a like rating wherever it is that you're listening. If you're on YouTube and you're checking out the lives, or you're listening to the podcast there, give us a subscribe. It's a little thing for you. It's free, but for us, it genuinely means the world to us in the podcast. So we appreciate it in advance. But hey, we got the Royal Rumble to talk about. So without further ado, enough with the fluff. Let's get to the stuff. So, Skeener, I'm thinking we just jump directly into the Royal Rumble, right? And
Let's do it.
we can talk about the matches in order: the men's rumble, the two matches in between. I mean, the women's rumble, two matches in between, then the women's rumble. I'm screwing this all up. The women's rumble, the two matches in between, the men's rumble, and we can talk about what comes off of those matches. We could talk about what happened in the matches, and then that will roll right into Monday Night Raw, where we can pick up with some of the things that are being built right off of the back of this PLE. So before we get into any of the match details for any of the card on Royal Rumble, what did you think about the PLE overall?
I thought it was really good. We had a good time watching it, and I said then, and I maintain my stance now. I thought it was really good. I thought the Rumble matches were really good. Good outcomes, even if they were slightly predictable in a sense. I don't like using that word for it, but I thought everything delivered. Like, they went 4 for 4 on really good matches as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I think it was not bad for sure. I think
the complaint I saw, and a lot of this is, I think people sometimes, and not that I wasn't guilty of it for some names, as you can go back and watch on the live stream and hear us talk about, you get yourself worked up for these surprises that are never promised or hinted at. And I think people get upset over that. And a lot of times now you see like, oh, this Rumble didn't have too many surprises. Well, like, that wasn't always a thing, and always doesn't have to be a thing. Like, you don't have to get too many big surprises, but then when you do get them, they're special.
Sure.
So I was fine with what we got. In a perfect world, yes, we get all the surprises we want. Jericho shows up, and Paige shows up, and all those things. And yeah, but didn't happen. Didn't work out. That doesn't make it bad just because it doesn't match up with your wildest dreams.
And listen, surprises don't always have to be great. Like, let's not forget, there was at least a 2-year span, particularly with regard to the women's rumble, where we got a lot of older legends coming back into the rumble. And listen, I have no issue with the legends, but we have always been advocates for utilizing the talent that you've got. Have we not? Have we not talked about utilizing who you've got in NXT? The Royal Rumble is a great opportunity to elevate some of the people who are right there on the cusp of breaking into the main roster, to put them in front of other people, and that maybe you don't need to take up that spot with a surprise entrant or someone who does not wrestle full time, right? And so, without naming names, because I respect all of these people, we did not maybe need some legends to come back. That's not necessary, particularly if you got a roster full of people who can do the job. And I agree with you 1,000%, Skeener. That is not something that we always had.
I cannot believe you did not want a legend like original El Grande Americano in the Royal Rumble.
Listen.
Because that's who you're talking about. Because that is a legend.
You know what? Did we not? Where did we see El Grande versus El Grande? Was that not in the Rumble, or was that on Raw, on SmackDown?
Oh, it was both. That's a big Mania match coming.
Listen, I think it's a Mania match, but it's not the Mania match. It's not like, listen, it ain't gonna be landing on no end of the card night one.
Well, that's night one. That's night one. That's night one, and Roman and Punk's night two.
I would have to.
That's why we got 2 nights.
I would have to vehemently and vociferously disagree with that.
Well, we'll see.
That we will not see, because we will not see it. They can't see the card the way we can't see Cena anymore. Yikes! Too soon. But we weren't promised that, particularly with regards to like the likes of Paige and certainly Jericho. Right? That was the kind of the big one, and we weren't promised that. Nowhere online did I see that really being reported anywhere. That was just us fan casting the Rumble because Jericho isn't around.
In fact, like he had a concert somewhere in the UK the next night, and like logistically, it would not have worked out.
Sure. Well, absolutely.
Plus, that's another thing. The pure logistics of getting surprises and like one-off appearances and getting these people to a foreign country like that without it being spoiled somehow is probably harder than you would think otherwise.
Well, and that's why we said this. I think I said this on an episode late last year when we were talking about it was either talking about the Rumble in advance, or we were talking about one of the shows that was on a European tour. I can't remember. But I was saying how in order to get someone as a mystery participant in a WWE angle in a show that is overseas, you're going to have to like send this person to the location well in advance of the show, because people are going to be checking airports, flight logs. You know what I'm saying? The press is going to be around trying to catch any and everything that you might be trying to hide about your program. And so it's going to be incredibly difficult. But, you know, and listen, to be fair to people who we will speak on later on this episode, sometimes the surprises may not actually land or hit the way you may want them to. They may not land and hit the way you want them to. And so sometimes surprises being the crux behind why you watch the Rumble, maybe that is an indicator that you should readjust your thinking, realign your perspective on what the Royal Rumble is. Because the Royal Rumble should be a really fun, really awesome showcase of WWE's talent. If we just so happen to get some surprises, sweet, cool. It's cherry on top of the cake, right? But the cake is the main feature. And WWE should be able to fill out and perform a Royal Rumble without outside assistance on a normal PLE. And so I'm not particularly upset that we didn't get any surprise entrance. In fact, I'm honestly not even disappointed that we didn't get any surprise entrance. It was a good program. Both the men's and the women's Royal Rumbles went off great. Thank goodness everybody is healthy. Didn't appear that anybody got hurt, and you know the show went off well. And I am someone who is as honest as I can be, and I can admit when I may have misjudged something, and I'm going to do that right now. I am very glad that the Saudi crowd showed up for the Rumble. I'm genuinely glad that they showed up for the Rumble.
Even if some of them were disguised as lights over their head.
Sure, yes. Even if you were playing the role of a chair.
Did you see that? They were planning on doing that at Mania, I guess, WWE, and now they scrapped those plans.
Why did you hold on. First of all, why?
Because it made the seats look empty when they weren't. I think if you were standing up, you could be seen, but like if you sat down, you got hidden by your light, essentially.
I remember talking about that.
It's somewhere else. Maybe the arena in Vegas has that. Because was it Money in the Bank and they did green lights?
Maybe.
And I thought it looked the same way. They've done this in one arena before that had like green lights. And I remember it just like, it obscures the people, which shouldn't matter, but like, for some reason it does. Like, as a wrestling fan, I want to see a packed building of people going crazy.
Well, and listen, it's an optics thing. I hear you. Like, as a wrestling fan, you want to see it, and it doesn't really look good on print. You know, it doesn't really look good on film. And so, not that, you know, anybody actually uses film anymore, but you get the analogy, folks. Like, it doesn't look good on camera. And so I can totally get behind the idea that WWE tried it a couple times. It was an interesting idea. In theory, it seemed like it would be really cool. And honestly, on paper, it still kind of sounds cool. But in practice, it may not be as feasible or as practical as one might think. So I can get behind that. Where did you hear that they were going away from that that gimmick?
Saw it on social media. Let me find it.
Yeah, well, you know, social media is 99.9% of the time they're right. So,
well, it's seemingly a dirt sheet report.
Oh, well, then you know it's true.
Yeah, maybe I should have looked into this more thoroughly.
It's possible. And listen, guys, I'm being sarcastic here.
Look, I'm fine
99% of
as
the
long
time.
as they don't, as long as they scrap that, that's fine because
It didn't add anything. It didn't add anything the way that they may have thought. Like I said, it probably sounded like a really cool idea on paper, and the execution just did not
it
yield the
it
results.
did look cool, but I don't think it was cooler than a packed stadium and the way that looks.
You know what? Honestly, I hear you. I think that the lack of the feeling that the stadium was packed made it not really that cool. Like it seemed cool
Fair.
in
Yeah,
concept.
well, right. Either way, like we both would have taken a full stadium over cool looking
Oh,
lights.
absolutely. 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 The set looked great. The set looked
Yeah,
great
it did.
to
And I
to their
loved
credit.
them coming out of the entranceway in that little cave.
Yeah.
Reminded me of the weekend Super Bowl performance.
Mm.
Is what it drew in my mind.
Listen, and look, shout out to what is it? Riyadh Stadium. Like whatever. I'm still not entirely sure whether what we watched at the end of that PLE was real or if that was AI at some point. But that was more fireworks shot off than I think I have
At the
ever
end, yeah.
seen for any event ever in history, in the history of the world. That was so many fireworks. And either the Saudis are really just, flaunting that oil money, that they have, or, at some point that turned into an AI thing and it was for show. Either way, it was a little bit much. If there's something else to do away with, WWE, do away with that. That wasn't necessary. And listen, if that did come out of the budget, shame. Shame, shame, shame. You can put that money towards something else. I don't know what else, but like you can shorten the fireworks budget and put that into something else that we would all appreciate more than a 10-minute fireworks show. But let's get to the real fireworks here, which is the card. We started with the Women's Royal Rumble match, which apparently I could not get out of my lips earlier, but we started with the Women's Royal Rumble match. So if you go onto WWE.com and you pull up the Royal Rumble, they did a really good thing here, which I like, and I hope they continue to do this moving forward with future Rumbles. So when you pull up the page, right, it has the Royal Rumble card, and it has the superstars listed in the order in which they entered, right? That's in one column. And then the column next to it has all of the people that they eliminated, right? The next column has who they were eliminated by. And then the last column has how long they were in the Rumble. So if you're someone like us who does a podcast, this is really cool to look at, particularly when we're talking through this. And I'm not going to go one by one with who entered at what time because I'm hoping that you're a wrestling fan and you watch the Royal Rumble because we're definitely in spoiler territory. We always are. That is a standing warning for this show. So, if you have not watched the Royal Rumble, this is your opportunity now to hit pause, go and watch the Rumble, and then come back and listen to the podcast because I spare you nothing here. Okay. So the Royal Rumble winner for the women, Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan came in at number 14. She lasted 43 minutes and 50 seconds, and she eliminated Natty, Raquel, Tiffany, and Tiffany Stratton. So, Skeener, your thoughts on the winner of the Women's Royal Rumble, Liv Morgan, and then feel free once you've stated your thoughts to kind of jump wherever you want to jump with the Women's Royal Rumble, and I'll piggyback off of you.
So, as far as Liv winning, if we weren't going to have Bianca come back and win it, I think Liv winning it is probably the correct choice.
Sure.
She's super popular. She's got all the momentum kind of fresh off this comeback, and now we're fresh off Dom's comeback, and it's one of the most popular duos in the company right now. And the way they have and are continuing to build up this Judgment Day tension, I think this is probably like, I don't want this to sound dismissive, and not like it wasn't a good option, but who else was your option if you don't have a returning Bianca Belair to face someone. Who else is winning this Rumble that is not already preoccupied other than, I mean, you have Tiffany returning. I think that would have been rejected by most people as a
Agreed.
winner and probably something that doesn't need to happen. So then are you going to pull the trigger on one of these up and coming stars? They obviously weren't ready to do that despite how good of a showing a lot of them had, like Sol Ruka and Lash Legend in particular, and who else was in there late? Kalani Jordan was
Yes.
in there late, and
JC Jane.
yeah, yeah. But I think it was the correct winner. I think it's Liv's gonna have she's a huge star for the company. She's super popular and good winner as far as I'm concerned. And I think it makes for an interesting run to WrestleMania because you have not only Liv picking who she's going to challenge, but also that gets wrapped in with this Judgment Day tension we're already invested in. So I'm fully on board with it.
I will agree with you in the sense that looking at this roster of women that were in this match, I do believe that Liv makes the most sense when it comes to how you laid that out. Who is uninvolved in, not who's uninvolved, because Liv is very much involved in a storyline, right? So I can see where you're coming from, though, with regard to Liv being probably your safest, smartest bet. However, I am always going to be, and I will never apologize for being a person who loves the idea of WWE using the Royal Rumble to make a star. Like, I don't recall the last time we've done that, where you take someone who's maybe not necessarily debuting at the Rumble, maybe not someone who just recently debuted, but in light of the fact that you have NXT,
So when you say this, you are talking a newer face winning
someone
the Royal
who is
Rumble.
not already established as a superstar.
See, I would say we did that last year with Jey Uso.
I disagree with that. And I disagree with that because Jey Uso was already Jey Uso. Jey Uso was already part of the biggest storyline of the previous 4 years. He was already legendary with the Usos. I get what you're saying, though. I understand where you're coming from. What I'm talking about
Yeah, and I
is
only say that because before John Cena's feet hit the floor, it was a far, far, far away possibility that Jey Uso would win a world title to me. Like, it changed in that instant. Like, I didn't believe the company would ever be at that position, and then it slapped me in the face. So I took last year as one of those moments, but I also get what you're saying in that he was an established huge star. Just for me, he wasn't established on the territory of where Royal Rumble winner puts you.
But I hear what you're saying. So here's my only pushback, right? My only retort here is that the Yeet movement did not start because Jay won the Royal Rumble. Jay was already an established star, and he was already building himself into this thing that the main event could not deny. Like, you could see the writing on the wall. Even if you were someone who did not think he was going to win the Rumble, the idea that this guy was not about to be in the main event picture, that's asinine. And if anybody told me that they thought I didn't think Jey Uso was going to be in the main event in the year of our Lord 2025, I would genuinely think you're lying. I genuinely think you would be putting on to make a point, because it was very clear. It was very clear that Jey Uso was destined for the top of the card. The question was, how are you going to get there? The easy way to do that was the Royal Rumble. I totally understand. And listen, last year, I think he was the right pick. I think he was the right pick because his star was so hot and so on the rise. That was the perfect place to pull the trigger for Jay, right? And it's a clean shot into a main event match, to where if you try this Jey Uso experiment and later on you kind of sour on it, right? based on how it is that he came up, you haven't invested but so much into building this guy into a star. You know what I mean? The Royal Rumble is essentially a lottery ticket. You know what I'm saying? And when if you win the lotto, you're immediately rich. And that does not mean that you had to have great business acumen. It does not mean that you had to be really great with money. You just hit the lotto. And that's an easy way to get somebody to the top spot, and they can fall off very quickly and you can move on and do something else. But the Royal Rumble is awesome because it is exactly that. And I think because of that aspect, had the Women's Royal Rumble, now I'm just going to look through this list really quickly, and not saying that each one of these people would be the absolute like best pick for this, but I'm just throwing this out there, right? Can you imagine if the Women's Royal Rumble is going on and the winner of the Women's Royal Rumble ends up being freaking JC Jane? Or let's say the winner of the Women's Royal Rumble ended up being, let's see, I'm looking through here, who we got. Let's say it was Lola Vice. If you build this correctly, or Roxanne Perez, you build this correctly, right? Lash Legend, where it's like, holy crap. Think about Roxanne's run last year. She was the Iron Woman last year. She was one of the last 4 women in the Rumble. The feeling that I had last year for Roxanne Perez would have made my brain explode had she thrown out the last person and won the Rumble. Because I'm watching her in this whole match and I'm thinking to myself, holy crap, she's still in here. Could they really do this? She's obviously can be a star. She's obviously got what it takes, right? Are they going to take this opportunity to make a new star, to really make one? And I'm not hating, right? I think Liv was a great pick. And I'm not saying they did anything wrong. I'm just always a fan of the idea, right? That you could take this opportunity to really make a star. But overall, I thought that the Women's Rumble was pretty freaking good.
And my last, it's not even a counter, but it's why I don't. We could probably do what you're saying and use this as a springboard more, but I think it being more rare keeps it more special. It's kind of like how they mix in established with next up winners as Money in the Bank winners.
Sure.
Is you don't know. Like at the beginning, it was too much next up, next world title. Here it is, you're going to win. Here it is, now you're going to win the title. So they had to like dial that back so that you're not always expecting it. But now that I look at this, I was looking at a list of Royal Rumble winners.
Yep.
When have we really done? I don't know if we've ever done exactly what you're saying.
Well, and that's what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Like
so maybe I get more of what you're saying.
Like in years past, and to be fair, right? To be fair, it has only been relatively recent that we've had WWE main roster pulling from NXT to put them in the Rumble. They've been doing it for a number of years now, but the Royal Rumble has been going on for way longer than NXT has been a thing, right? So before that, you always had to pull, external talent from outside of the company. But now you have a feeder system in NXT. And I would even be willing to say certain ancillary properties of WWE should be off limits. Okay. Like no one from AAA should be winning the Rumble. No one from TNA should be winning the Rumble. I think that's too much of a disruption to your WWE product. And that's no disrespect to the people that are there. I just think that you should keep it kind of contained. But because of what NXT is, right? And that is your direct feeder system. And on top of the fact, it's not just a developmental program anymore. It's its own show. It has its own PLEs, and there's hella crossover already. So I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility that you could use NXT as an extension of your main roster, at least in the sense of the most random match on any PLE every year. And that's the Royal Rumble, right? And like you said, I don't think we've seen a situation where WWE is really taking the opportunity to have the Royal Rumble really make someone outside of their performance, right? And to a certain extent, to be real.
Yeah, so with what you said, do you have any past winners that qualify? for what you would like to see.
Me? No, I don't.
Okay.
Um,
That's what, because I was looking at the list and I was thinking, okay, as you're talking.
no, I
So I'd
think
be down because it would be new. See, even if I consider Jay, that's probably the only person. Maybe Alberto Del Rio, maybe, and I guess I'll set the precedent here that we'll say the name on the show. Maybe Chris Benoit, but other than
maybe.
that, yeah, you're probably right. Rey Mysterio, because we probably at that time weren't thinking he was a world title guy.
Now, here's the only
But
pushback I would have
but
to
if
that.
you don't agree with me putting Jay in the category, you won't agree with either Benoit or Mysterio.
Well, right,
So
right, right. And that was my
yeah,
thing too with Benoit Mysterio. Like, yeah, they were new to WWE maybe around that time, generally speaking. But, these characters are bona fide products of the Monday Night War. We knew absolutely who Chris Benoit was. We absolutely knew who Rey Mysterio was. And to put them in that position, yeah, I agree. It was something that was maybe unexpected, but not unprecedented.
yeah,
And
I yeah,
you know what I mean?
I get where you're coming from now.
And I think that's for me is why, and I'm not jumping over the women's Royal Rumble, but that was one of the reasons why I was so bent on the idea that like you could do that with Oba. You could do
Yeah,
that with Oba. Like that right there is your golden opportunity. You've been hyping this dude so hard. And every opportunity that he's had on the main roster, he has shown out. You know what I'm saying? It's part of the reason why
I think the issue is not that he's not ready for that opportunity, but if he wins the Rumble, he has to challenge for a title at WrestleMania. And they probably don't they or not probably, they obviously they don't have him factored in those plans.
I get that. I
Yeah,
get that.
like
And that's why the reason why like I temper these things that I would want with a level of realistic expectation. But there is the inner child in me, the inner wrestling fan that still wants to see it, right? And that's what's great about wrestling, right? We can want to see something while understanding what the realistic expectations could be, which is why when I look at the winners of the Royal Rumble, for the women it was Liv, for the men it was Roman, I get it. I get it. I will say this. I felt more of what I'm describing right now with the men's Rumble than I did with the women. I felt that more because I did feel like when it came to the men, there are people that they have in the Rumble currently who they have been building up really strong. And I think at the end of the day, I understand, right? You're not going to take certain people right now, as big as they are, and interject them into these scenes, right? Where the world title picture or the WWE title picture has already been pre-painted for months, right? So I understand it. But man, how interesting would it be, right? If you had this story laid out where you've got Roman on looming on the horizon to come back around, Punk is dealing with this stuff with the Vision and all this stuff, right? And all of a sudden you get boom, like an Obafemi to win the Rumble. And now he gets to pick where he wants to go. And listen, look, to be fair, Drew McIntyre's his dance card is interchangeable at this point because the way they've been lining things up, I don't know who is going to challenge him. He took out Sammy, and I don't think we're going to get a Drew Sammy 2, right? And then
there's no reason to.
right. And then he's kind of gone heads up with Solo. He's kind of gone heads up with Cody. Randy's kind of floating around there. His dance card is kind of open. And so my thing is you had a lane there to where you didn't have to touch what your main event of night 2 is going to be, which is very clearly Punk and someone who you've already been establishing, right? You had room to go there. But you chose to take that opportunity and just double down, to use the gambling terms, since we're going back to Vegas, to double down on the story that you are already telling. And sometimes I just kind of feel like, okay, if you've already got this laid out, we could have gotten to Punk versus Roman without Roman winning the Rumble, particularly when you think about what happened on Monday. You know what I'm saying? Like, did that conversation that happened in the ring, which by the way, killer freaking promo, but for both of them, did we need the Rumble for that interaction to happen? No, we didn't. We could have gotten to that title match between the two of them without Roman having to have won the Royal Rumble and declare his spot like that.
Yeah, but that's always the case. Like, you can always get to the match without the Rumble.
Yeah, I get it. I understand what you're saying. Like, technically speaking, you could always do that, but not all the time is the road inlaid so easily. Like, that road was already there. It's already painted. Roman did not have to win the Rumble to lay that exact same story out, and in a way that would have been believable. Nobody would have thought that if Roman came back and he was in the ring cutting that promo, right, that he was cutting, and he just wasn't talking about the Rumble. Right? And let's say he's cutting that promo and then Punk comes out and they have that promo battle. Once Punk came out, aside from who you're going to choose, that promo had nothing to do with the Rumble. Nothing. And that is what I'm saying, right? You could have omitted the Rumble from that, right? And that would have been the build to the WrestleMania main event. We're gearing up for it. You know what I'm saying? If you bring back Seth into this equation, right? He ties into this somehow. I don't know. You got the Vision. All that stuff could have happened without the Rumble's inclusion. Now, I'm not saying it was a bad move because at the end of the day, it turned out well.
But then he doesn't get to say, "I'm choosing you because I hate you."
Yeah.
That line in and of itself is worth 2 Rumbles.
No.
To me.
No.
Well.
No, we do not need Roman winning 2 Rumbles. But I hear you. That line was good, but I have faith in the WWE writers that they could have written something that would have sufficed and worked equally as well.
But now, obviously, you need to have a little more faith in your tribal chief because this has been an alarming last few minutes, especially in terms of your accommodations for your trip to Milwaukee. So that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Hey, look, man. Listen, the Rumble was good.
Look, in this house, we acknowledge our tribal chief.
Listen, I always acknowledge the tribal chief just because I don't think that the tribal chief needed to win the Rumble. I'm still saying the tribal chief could have been in the main. In fact, you know what, Skeener? Matter of fact, sir, I think that what I'm saying acknowledges. I think that what I'm saying acknowledges the tribal chief more than what you're saying. Because what I'm saying is that the tribal chief didn't need to win a lottery to get in the main event. He could have just walked in and called his shot because he's the tribal chief. You didn't have to take this lottery ticket and also give it to the guy who's a millionaire. You feel what I'm saying? Like, he's already can walk in and buy whatever he wants. Why do we also need to give him a lotto ticket? You could have given that to someone.
He needed that because he needed that chain.
And he already had that chain.
Maybe.
Listen.
Maybe.
All I'm saying is that I think the Rumbles went off well. You know, I think that my only real issue, well, no, that's not my only real issue. My first real issue with the Rumble, men's wise, was that I feel like it's possible you could have given that to someone else, but it is what it is.
I'm trying to think. I think some of the, as far as the mechanics of the match go, I do think some of the, I don't know if they had timing issues, but like some of the eliminations and when they happened and who did them were slightly off, I guess.
Now, who are you talking about, men's or women's?
Men's.
Okay, I know what you're talking about.
Men's. So yeah, who was it that we had? We had someone eliminated like during an entrance that was pretty big. Or now I should have had this written down and not trying to remember. But like, there were a couple eliminations that were odd, and then the choices of who gets to do them were a little off. But in the end, that's not as huge of a deal unless you're building feuds out of it.
So Brock Lesnar went out, eliminated by Cody during an entrance.
Yeah.
During an entrance.
Yeah, which was
interesting. Out. Well, and now, okay, so let's jump over to the men's Rumble. Okay, so like, unless you've been not listening to what we've been talking about, Roman Reigns won the men's Rumble. He came in at number 26. He eliminated The Miz, Jacob Fatu, family, Jey Uso, family, Logan Paul, and Gunther. And he lasted 15 minutes and 48 seconds. Okay, so he definitely had a part-timer victory here. But yeah, Brock Lesnar was eliminated by Cody Rhodes during an entrance, and the camera didn't catch it. That was one of the things, and I'm glad you brought this up because I didn't write it down, but it was one of those things that in the moment, it rubbed me the wrong way. Look, let's be clear. If you were on the live stream, there was very much other things that were happening during that live stream that were rubbing me the wrong way. That rubbed me way more the wrong way than the Rumble ever did. I'm talking to you, Netflix. Like, you and I got beef, and we'll talk about that. But yeah, I thought that Cody eliminating Brock and the camera didn't even catch it. It felt so unceremonious that he went out, the way he did without the camera on him, right? That's one thing. The other thing, why have Cody Rhodes eliminate Brock and we're not even going in that direction? I have every reason to suspect that Brock is going in a different direction for Mania, right? Which I am excited about. I just wish we could have gotten there differently, right? But I think Brock is going in a whole other direction. So to have Cody eliminate him seems like a wasted opportunity. It genuinely seems like a wasted opportunity.
Yeah, I thought so as well.
You know what I'm saying?
Cody got another one, right?
Yeah, he eliminated Trick. He eliminated Trick.
Right.
He eliminated Trick Williams. And by the way, that pissed me off because Trick came in at number 10. Cody came in at number 11. Trick was only in the Rumble for 6 minutes. That is ridiculous. And we're not going to do anything with that. At least I don't know because I mean they're both on SmackDown.
I don't know.
So
let's wait.
You know, it's possible.
I could see if Cody is not involved in the main event picture, I don't rule out a big time Cody Rhodes, Trick Williams angle storyline.
I could see a 3-way. I could see a 3-way match between Cody Rhodes, Drew McIntyre, Trick Williams. Because, Drew McIntyre did show his face and, eliminated Cody via outside interference.
Yep.
Right? So he did do that. And Cody eliminated Trick. I could see Trick trying to get his lick back. I could see that, but that's not confirmed whatsoever. But like that was one of the things, right? The other thing that I did not like was the fact that Obafemi was eliminated by Brock Lesnar. Now, this is nothing against Brock, and I know. Listen, I don't know this for sure because thankfully you guys don't give me feedback that indicates this. But I am not a Brock Lesnar hater. I just feel like Brock Lesnar is relied upon way too much sometimes by WWE. That doesn't mean I don't recognize the asset that he is. I just think that for the longest time, WWE was like break glass in case of emergency with Brock Lesnar. And I don't know if that was always necessary. And so it's not me hating on Brock when I say that like Oba was eliminated by Brock. I just wish that it was the other way around, right? Brock is the one with the sway. Brock is the one who has got the Hall of Fame career. Brock is the one who, as WWE is established, is the person who can just kind of walk into whatever arena he wants to, right? And set up whatever he wants. And they're going to give him whatever he wants. So why not have Oba throw him out? And then have Brock come back and he's freaking ripping and snorting mad. You know what I'm saying? And it's like he calls out Oba. That, to me, makes way more sense, but I don't know how we're going to get there. I do think we're going to get Brock Lesnar versus Obafemi at Mania.
Yeah, I think we do. I think it may happen the other way.
Oh, that Oba comes and calls out Brock.
Because let's jump ahead. Now that we're talking about Oba, okay. And he comes out at number 1 in the Rumble. He is super dominant for the first third essentially of the match.
Yeah, he eliminates Braun Breaker, Rusev, Solo Sikoa, Rey Mysterio, Matt Cardona.
He's doing the Brock thing essentially for a little less time than Brock did. But like we get what in the world did we watch on Raw with Obafemi? I mean, I know what we watched, but like
he destroyed the tag team.
Is he just coming out and just fucking people up because he wants to? What is this? That seems a little heelish, but people are people were into it.
Listen, that was the weirdest setup. Because the War Raiders came out like it was a tag team match. And then Oba showed up and he didn't even get introduced.
No, and I thought it's a handicap match. But no, it's not even a match. Like that was just, I guess Obafemi just showed up and beat them up and left.
It's just an Oba showcase. Like,
which I'm fine with, but like the fact that there was no explanation is
it's
perplexing me.
funny to me because it makes me in my little nerd brain like headcanon things that like I know aren't real, but it's funny to imagine them. Like it's funny to imagine Triple H and Bruce Pritchard and Michael Hayes backstage and they're like, all right, we got something for you, War Raiders. Go out there, we got the tag team match. And then there's snickering back there because they don't actually have a tag team. And they're like, hey, Oba, just go out there and
Well, yeah, but, I mean that's what I mean. I'm sure anyone that is vaguely familiar with pro wrestling for at least a week was like heard that music hit and was like, poor War Raiders.
right.
This isn't gonna go well.
Right. Obviously, you guys were being fed to Oba. Yeah, this wasn't gonna go well for you. But
Yeah, like there wasn't any local talent they could have brought in. But I guess, but that's also a statement on like normally they do use local talent for this. We're using established former champion talent that you just get to go beat up 2-on-1.
I mean, listen,
Like that's a statement
you know what?
by
I
the
will say that,
company, if anything else, because like it is the War Raiders. They are what they are, but they also aren't local jobbers.
no. Look,
And they just
RIP,
let Oba wreck shop.
RIP to the War Raiders, RIP to the tag team division. Listen, this is showing you very clearly what WWE thinks of the tag team division, okay? Just look at the last few weeks. Now, obviously, there are some logistical issues because Jimmy Uso can't travel internationally. I still hate the fact that I have to say that, but it's the truth, right?
So,
But we have not had the tag team champs on our television together in over 3 weeks, almost a month. We haven't had the tag team champions on our programming, right? When we've seen Fraxium, we have seen them work in solo competition with the other person at ringside. We have not seen them wrestle as a tag team. And one of your tag teams, the War Raiders, was just fed to Oba Femi in a 1 versus 2 beatdown. Where are the Street Profits? Like the tag team division in the men's.
It's all the tag. There's not a lot of tag teaming going on right now.
No.
And the one that keeps happening is the one we don't want to watch anymore. The MFTs.
Right. We're kind of done with that. But yeah, listen, I think we're getting to Oba and Brock. And I think you were saying that you preferred it the other way, like Oba calling out Brock.
Yeah, because we've seen it. We've seen it the other way. Let's do something different.
I agree.
Let's portray Oba as a big enough badass that he's going to call out Brock Lesnar, which not a lot of people do.
I like it. I hadn't given it thought.
He's just showing up, strutting to the ring, and just beating people up.
Yeah.
And for a show where Adam Pearce was so concerned with people ruining his show and, taking business into their own hands and, screwing things up, Oba sure just got to go out there and do whatever that was.
And it's always funny when you think about wrestling as a production, because what I'm supposed to believe is that Oba just showed up in his non-sanctioned thing, right? But yet he's in his ring gear. You played his whole entrance with his long ass intro before he even walks out, right? Like somebody hit the button. And I guess when they hit the button and it's going, it's like,
took his time. It's not like he just ran out. Like he walked through Gorilla and
somebody played his music, started his Tron,
bounced down the
somebody did all that. My head canon is that like once they hit the button to start the intro in the truck, like they're not going to cut it off because hey, the show's got to go on. We're running a show here. But listen, we're going to have a meeting afterwards about who's just hitting buttons back there and starting people's Trons and letting them go on. But I like the idea. I like the idea of Oba being the ruler and coming out and calling out Brock. I actually like that better than what I was thinking. I still wish that he would have had a better showing against Brock. That's the other thing. So when it came to the pacing, it was very clear that in order to keep the pace very interesting for either the live audience or the audience that are watching around the world, they definitely did not wait 90 seconds for the next person to come out. They didn't wait 2 minutes. Sometimes it didn't seem like they waited 1 minute. Like some of these were rapid firing. And there were 2 moments where Brock and Oba were face to face and the crowd was starting to swell and then the counter starts going, and before we can get them face to face, the next person comes out. And I'm just like, I get it. If we're not going to have them really come to blows like that until they meet in the ring one-on-one, fair. But we did get a little tossing around. Brock tossed Oba around a little bit. Oba got a nice clothesline in on Brock. But that means that you weren't shying away from the contact. That makes me feel like the way you had those entrances, the entrance into the Rumble kind of compacted all together like that, it took away from it a little bit for me. But all in all, it wasn't bad. La Parka, listen, who in the Rudy Poo was this low rent, low budget Spirit Halloween version of La Parka?
This is, I believe, the third La Parka. So
His
this
costume,
is like Gage chimed in on the live screen. Like the luchadors pass on, but the luchadors go away, but the gimmicks just kind of get passed on to the next person.
won't his mask, dog. I was just looking at La Parka's mask online not even a week ago. That didn't even look like La Parka's mask. That certainly wasn't his costume. Like that looked like a Spirit Halloween skeleton costume that you could get anywhere online for under $10.
I think all the masks have been different.
Listen,
a little bit.
If that is a AAA talent and not someone that WWE has contracted, that's on AAA. But if that's WWE people that they're bringing in, this new iteration of La Parka, you got to go back to the drawing board, dog. That mask was boo-boo. I don't see how you get that over. That's Mr. Iguana level of corny. It don't, in particular, when you've got Penta, right? Penta does the black and white, what is the term I'm looking for? I don't want to say eerie, but he does like the black and white monochromatic look on the face with his face paint and his mask design. Way better than what that budget La Parka mask looked like. I saw that and I thought this must be like in line with the El Grande Americano thing. Like maybe this is a little gag that they got going on because they already got Mr. Iguana in the ring. You know what I mean? Maybe that's what this is. But no, they played it straight as an arrow. And I was a little thrown, but you know what? Okay, it's the Rumble. It's the Rumble. We're getting all these entrants coming to this thing, right? I'm scrolling through here because I'm trying to get what entrant number this was. La Parka was 18. Where is my boy? Oh, 14. Royce Keys shows up. Now, Royce Keys was in the Rumble for 9 minutes, 55 seconds. He was in there longer than Trick Williams. I think that's a daggone shame. But Royce Keys in the Rumble. This is your former powerhouse Hobbs in AEW. I watched a little vlog that WWE had put out with Royce Keys. It was about 4 minutes long. And it was interesting to see. It was really nice to see. He got to talk with Cody a little bit, Punk a little bit. Obviously, there's the AEW ties there. And honestly, I'm happy for the dude. He's finally in WWE. He got to debut on a big stage. And he seems like he was happy with his debut and his performance. And listen, if he's happy, I'm happy. I'm happy for the dude. And I hope that WWE puts you in a position where you can really shine. I will say this. Skeens sent me a screenshot of commentary from the Wrestling Observer, and specifically from one Dave Meltzer. And the gist of what Dave was saying was along the lines of, and correct me if I'm wrong, Skeens, but Dave...
I've got the quote right here.
Oh, so, please, yeah. By all means.
He just said he, being Royce Keys, he didn't get any reaction. It was the wrong place to debut him. Didn't do anything super memorable.
Okay.
And I take issue with all three of those, but you say what you're going to say.
Well, no, please. You've already started. I mean, your thoughts?
Well, I think unless I'm misremembering, the didn't get any reaction that's just not like true.
I agree. That's like objectively not true.
Yeah, like there was a reaction. Was it thunderous? No, but it was never going to be unless you debuted him on an episode of Dynamite. Well, even in the States, he's not going to get.
I guarantee
he's not going to get the Roman Reigns pop.
But it doesn't have to be Roman Reigns pop. So I'm gonna go ahead and say
Well,
my piece, and then we can get
what
into
the
this back and
comparison
forth.
is
Hold
there.
on, I'm gonna
Yeah.
say my piece, and we go and get this back and
Okay.
forth because I think it's necessary. So I consider myself to be a fair person. I am an honest person. If I think that what you're saying is a bunch of crap, I will just say that. I don't agree, right? I don't dislike Dave Meltzer because I dislike Dave Meltzer. I dislike Dave Meltzer because most of the time when he opens his mouth, he says some stuff that's stupid and it's nonsensical, it's objectively not true, and it doesn't make any sense on his 18,000 point grading scale, 15,000 stars. It's ridiculous. Fall back.
I believe it only goes up to 8 now. So.
Oh, okay. So yeah, you're 8-star like that. Come on, that's ridiculous. Okay, do it yourself. But I'm not somebody who is a hater just to hate. Okay, I think that he's
You're missing
objectively
out.
wrong on the idea that he didn't get a pop at all. I do not think he's wrong in the fact that this was the wrong place to debut him. You could have done a better job debuting him on SmackDown. You could have done it particularly.
But are you saying that because of the geographical place?
I think if you had done okay, so I was thinking about this before we got on. I don't know.
Because I want to make sure I understand what you're saying.
I'm
Because
about
I
to- I'm
think
about to explain.
debuting him in the Rumble is fine. It just maybe if it's somewhere else in AEW territory where he's more well known, the pop would be bigger.
Well, okay, so here's a couple things. One, I can't have a conversation like this and separate things that cannot be separated at this point. Okay. The Rumble happened in Saudi Arabia. So
Yeah,
the idea that you debuted
just
him in
making
the
sure.
wrong place, right, means that debuting him at the Royal Rumble was the wrong place because the Rumble was in Saudi Arabia. I think that if the Rumble was stateside, you would have got a better pop for him. I don't know.
I can't disagree with that.
You know what I'm
but
saying? I don't know.
yeah.
I don't know to what degree AEW's reach is in the Middle East, right? I don't know.
Enough that they have their own smarks that were chanting AEW at Triple H after the show. So
sure, but not enough to give.
So there were enough,
but not enough to give Powerhouse Hobbs.
Well, there were only 25,000. You gotta do a
only 25,000.
Yeah.
Listen, if they wanted to pop, they
there
would
would
have.
been-
They popped
There would have been
for
more
Brie
smarks if
Bella.
there were 50,000.
Brie Bella. They blew the roof off the house for Brie Bella. Like,
You know
I'm
why?
sorry.
Because Brie Bella is a bigger star in wrestling right now than Royce Keys.
I think
just the way it is.
I think that this thing that you've got about bigger stars and how premiumly big they are is a direct indicator. It's a direct indicator of the pop that they get, or maybe it's more so accurate in reverse. The pop they get is a direct indicator of how big of a star they are. I don't know if I agree with that.
I don't see how you disconnect those two.
I don't disconnect
like
them.
it is what it is, unless the crowds are being intentionally dishonest.
And that's the way that's the way. Listen, it's not even an issue of the crowds being intentionally dishonest, right? Some acts will resonate differently in different places. Before, when we dealt with the Saudi crowd, you cannot divorce the idea that the culture around the Middle Eastern communities, how they look at women, the differences in how they allow men and women to express what they've allowed men and women to do historically, and how those changes in what women have been able to express and do have really only taken place legitimately in the last 25 years, right? You cannot say that, objectively speaking, their cultural view on women in public had nothing to do with how they received the women on their card. The women still can't wrestle in their own gear when they go there. The fact that Rey Mysterio had to take the cross off of his mask, where has he ever had to do that? Except Saudi Arabia. I got the gloves off now, so I might as well take them off, right? Where have they ever had to do that with Rey? But they had to do it in Saudi Arabia. Why? Because the Saudi Arabian people have a certain dictation that they can place on WWE product, and they're going to acquiesce. They're going to acquiesce.
To be honest, I think it's a legal thing. I'm not disagreeing with you here. I'm just waiting for how this relates back to Royce
because I think that certain superstars, I agree with you, are just really big stars. I think they're really big stars, right? And I think that the Saudi Arabian crowd, particularly in those early PLEs, right? Those ones where when you tuned in, all the seats in the front two rows were like plush couches and everybody
Yeah,
had
and again,
on.
I think back then, I think we hit on it on the live stream.
We
Like
did.
those weren't wrestling fans,
Right,
on the
but
first
but
few.
those were the people who were very, very indicative of what it is that I'm talking about, right? When Rhea Ripley would come out, they would super duper pop, right? Charlotte Flair, they would super duper pop. But anybody else that was not them, they were quiet as a mouse. They didn't deserve that. And it wasn't simply just an idea, well, they're not big enough. Sure, they're not big enough to get a pop from this sexist Saudi crowd. They're not big enough to get that pop.
I agree it's amplified, but I think it's still representative of the underlying popularity.
I can agree with that, right?
Because at the end of the day, they did lose their shit for Brie Bella.
I think now here's the thing. I will say this, and this is going back to what I said at the top of the show, right? I think that this crowd for this Royal Rumble was full of wrestling fans. I think that this was not the same crowd as like the first Crown Jewel. You know what I'm saying? Like this was not that same crowd. And you saw way less white sheets in the crowd and way more people who were geeking out over wrestling. And you could tell the energy was very different. I could dig that, and I'm appreciative of that. And I stated at the top of the show, when I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm cool with being wrong. You're not wrong being wrong. So I get it. I think, however, that when it came to Royce Keys, and to kind of bring this back full circle, I think that had the Rumble, instead of being in Saudi Arabia, had it happened in Philly, I think that when his Powerhouse Hobbs thing first came up, I think the crowd would have been much louder. I think they would have been much louder. I think the pop would have been bigger. You know what I'm saying? Because I think
I think that's inarguable.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I think that from that perspective, I don't think Meltzer was wrong. I don't think he was wrong.
So my issue is in his use of the word wrong, because wrong implies, like, to me, that this somehow hurt what they're trying to do. I think it's big for him to debut and for them to showcase him reportedly, like, pretty much as soon as they possibly could. And if they have plans for him immediately and want to factor him in, then we need to get him debuted. And it may be unfortunate for the reaction piece of this that long before Royce Keys signed this contract, like, it was set in stone that this Royal Rumble is in Saudi Arabia. But I don't think that makes it the wrong place, just because it would have been better if this Rumble was somewhere else. That card was on the table.
But here's the thing. Why did you have to book him for the Rumble? You could have booked him for the Raw after. You could have booked him for the SmackDown after. I think you would have had a better response to Royce Keys, which I think he deserves it, right? And like I said earlier, if he's happy with his performance, who am I to hate? I'm certainly not hating, right? If he was happy, I'm happy.
You're Dave Meltzer.
I am certainly not Dave Meltzer. I take offense to that, sir. I take offense to that. I am not Dave Meltzer. If that man if Royce Keys is happy, I'm happy. I'm just saying.
Well, let me see what your workspace looks like. Well, we've seen it on the live stream, so I guess you keep a cleaner workspace.
I am leagues ahead. I have lights, sir. I don't hold the microphone in with my hand while I'm petting a dog or whatever he's doing. Like, listen, I just think that if you had debuted him, and listen, I thought the same thing before you told me about Dave Meltzer. I thought that it was really cool to see Royce Keys, formerly Powerhouse Hobbs, in WWE. I just thought that you could have held that until SmackDown, because I think that's where he's going to end up going. That's just my guess, right?
I would think so.
I would guess he's going to SmackDown. I feel like you could have held that, and you could have had something that was much more dedicated just to him, right? You could have somebody in the ring giving a promo, right? And then his music hit, dude, the freaking crowd would blow their top if he just showed up, right? Wreck somebody in the ring. And he had the whole segment dedicated to himself. Like, I think that just would have landed a little bit better. If you were going to do it at a Rumble and the Rumble was on stateside, that would make more sense. And look, let's be clear. He is not about to factor into anybody's WrestleMania 42 plans. He's not. That's not a knock to him.
You don't think he's going to be on the card?
I don't know. I have no clue. I have no reason to suspect that.
Well, so
there are people on the roster who are bigger than him who might not be on the card.
If they didn't, if he, even then, I don't know. I think we'll just have a difference of opinion here. It doesn't necessarily bother me that I don't think they were wrong in debuting him here, even if there are places where he would have had a bigger reaction. Like, sure. I don't know what the plan is, so I can't judge how they're getting there.
Well, here's the thing. I'm not speaking for Dave. I will never try to speak for Dave. But we want
to stay away from that.
I'm not saying that I think they were wrong. I think that is a different statement altogether. My statement was I think there were better places to do it. Like that's my argument, is that there was a better place to do it. You could have waited 24 hours if you really were on demon time and you wanted to get him out as quick as possible. I would have waited till Monday. And if you could really wait, I'd wait till the end of the week and do it on Friday. That's what I would have done.
Maybe this was part of the contract pitch, though. Like,
maybe.
What if the contract pitch is, hey, we'll bring you in and you immediately get this fat Saudi check?
Hey, listen, that could very well be the case. And listen, if that's a business move, that's a business move. That business move would be the reason for why they did this, but it wouldn't have changed the result. He could have got a fat paycheck as his opener, you know what I'm saying? Almost like a big signing bonus to come on. Totally understand that, right? That is the reasoning for why the action was taken. My judgment is simply on the action, right? I'm not trying to justify it or not justify it. I'm just saying that I think that he would have gotten a bigger reception had you waited. That's all. But, like I said, I watched that little vlog that WWE put up.
I haven't watched that.
Yeah, I saw it right before we came on.
Whatever we think aside, I'm excited he's here.
Agreed.
He's a bigger dude than I thought he was.
Dude, I was literally thinking that watching this vlog.
Yeah, he's bigger than I thought he was.
Dude, if you
watch I didn't think he was small, but
watch the vlog when we get done. It's like 4 minutes, right? It's like 4 minutes long. And I'm watching that vlog thinking, dude is a barrel, bro. Like, yeah. I was like, God, he's so freaking like thick. He's a thick, huge dude. And I didn't notice that until I watched that vlog. But like I'm saying, I watched that vlog. He seemed very happy. He seemed very happy with the fact that he threw out a former world champion, and is that
again, and I said that when we were there. I mean, he eliminated Priest, and like, regardless of where Priest is now, that is someone the company really likes and views as a star.
Oh, for sure. I think, and listen, I think that will probably be a really great place for him to start. I think that'd be a really great place for him to start is in a program with Damian
I didn't even
Priest.
think about that. Yeah.
And listen, if we look at Rumble the way that I think we should look at the Royal Rumble from a fan's perspective as well as a product, that this should be the launching off point for stories that you're going to tell through WrestleMania season. Not every feud culminates at Mania. Some of them do. Some of them may culminate right before, right after, but they will build in that time frame, right? I think this is a perfect place for him to start. The only person he eliminated was Damian Priest. And if I'm looking at where Damian Priest came in, he came in at number 7. Priest didn't eliminate anyone and got eliminated by Royce Keys. Like, that's a perfect...
Priest just hung out for a while.
Yeah. Like, that's a perfect place for him to start is with Damian Priest. Damian card is free. He's eliminated Aleister Black, who was also not in the Rumble. But, yeah, that's a great place for him to start. Like I said, I think this is going to be good. I am happy that he's here, and I don't think that his participation in the Rumble was bad at all. I'm happy that he's happy with what he's doing. It's all good. I'm just saying that if you really wanted to get this gargantuan pop, there could have been a better place for it. That's all I'm saying. But
it rubs me the wrong way when and how Dave Meltzer says these things, like so matter-of-factly that I was the wrong place to debut him. Like, okay, Dave, in your territory, where are you debuting him, pal? Like, That's the part that pisses me off. Is this guy that's never done this
Right.
just has which is ironic for me to say on our weekly wrestling podcast where we talk about this, but you know what I mean.
Well, the problem with Dave is that Dave has garnered such ill will over the decades, right? That the hate for Dave is engendered. It is engendered in a significant portion of pro wrestling fans' DNA, right? And so we are averse to Dave the way that human beings are naturally averse to like snakes, spiders, right? Certain things trigger certain
Cockroaches is the one you're missing. That's a good
sure, throw that one in there too, right? Like there are things that we as human beings are just innately, repulsed by. And Dave has just engendered himself into that portion of our DNA. And so I get that. I totally understand, right? And I honestly consider myself to be a big enough man to say that I don't disagree with him while also recognizing that I don't particularly care for Dave. And I think his takes can be stupid, right? And he does speak from this position that is not earned. It is not even granted to him by the professional wrestling community. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would love for him to just shut up and sit down, but he's not. He's not. And a broken clock can be correct 2 times a day. That does not mean the clock is great or that it's doing a good job, right? It just means that time happens and inevitability will come. And I just think that take about debuting Royce Keys at this Rumble, I don't think it was incorrect. But I'm not judging Dave's motivations. I'm not judging where he came from. I'm judging just the statement on its face. I think that objectively it's a true statement. But needless to say, this is not about Dave Meltzer. This is about the Royal Rumble. And I think that he had a great debut in the Rumble. I think that his participation in the Rumble was good. He stayed in the Rumble longer. Let's see, Royce Keys. He stayed in the Rumble
like
longer.
10 minutes.
He stayed in the Rumble longer than my boy Trick Williams. That pissed me off. Brother. Like the fact that Trick only eliminated the original El Grande and Mr. Iguana. Are we kidding? Like, listen, I get it. Everyone can't eliminate top superstars, right? Sure. But the fact, and listen, and granted, he eliminated 2 more people than Javon Evans, Damian Priest, Matt Cardona, Rusev, Rey Mysterio, Solo Sikoa, El Grande Americano, Ilya Dragunov, La Parka, Dragon Lee, Logan Paul, The Miz, Rey Fenix, Jacob Fatu.
A numerous list.
It's a numerous list of people who didn't eliminate anyone.
Well,
so the fact he got 2 is fine, right? And I wouldn't be judging the people that he eliminated if most of those people, besides Rey Fenix, and I'm just looking over this list real quick to just make sure that what I'm about to say is correct. And I think I am. I wouldn't be complaining about that if everyone else besides Rey Fenix, Dragon Lee, La Parka, and the people who got eliminated by Obafemi, they all lasted longer than Trick. That's nuts to me. That's nuts.
Yeah, I was fairly surprised that not at the time and number of eliminations, because I think that can be overstated if that's not the focus in and of itself. But
I can agree with that.
I thought maybe we'd get something memorable or a story beat out of his appearance in the Rumble, but we didn't.
Yeah.
But I get that there's only so many people and so many stories you can do in there, but I did think we'd get something. That said, I'm not necessarily worried about where he's positioned or what he's going to be doing.
Yeah.
I just think, it was, I thought it was okay because he had that, they had the moment, right, with him and Oba and was it Javon at that time?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Where they kind of played on the triple threat and had that, look, here's the future kind of showdown.
Yeah.
And I think doing that's a big moment, but I think it probably was a miss to not do something storyline wise, like leading to something or coming out. But maybe that's because whoever his story is going to be with wasn't in there or couldn't be in there at that time. So I guess we'll see where they go.
So let me ask you this.
Because it's nice to say that, but what if What if the plan is Trick and Drew? Well, Drew wasn't in there. They couldn't really build that. They had to wrap up other stuff or Trick and someone else.
True, true, true.
Who knows?
So let me ask you this. So moving away from the actual Rumble matches, because we did have other matches on the card.
Yeah. Let's hit one more moment. That
All right,
was
sure. Go right ahead.
some people. There was some shocking, I know, internet discourse that really did not like the exchange between Brock and Ilya Dragunov.
Oh, Brock not selling for Ilya?
Yeah. And here's my thoughts on that. One, who knows if that was, I mean, that may have been planned. I see a lot of people that are like, oh, this is Brock going into business for himself. One, don't think it's that big of a deal because it's Brock Lesnar at a certain point, even though this is professional wrestling and this is sports entertainment, we got to have some legitimacy here. And Brock can't just be, taking the Shawn Michaels bumps for everyone. But if you are so devoid of character that you cannot recover from Brock Lesnar no selling 3 chops, maybe it just wasn't meant to be. That's all I'll say. If that is a complete burial to you to where you cannot recover from it, you weren't going anywhere anyways.
So let me ask you a follow-up to that.
Yeah.
So why bring an impugning of Ilya Dragunov into this at all? Like,
because because that is the discourse I've seen.
Right, but the discourse
is a burial.
But the discourse is amongst the people who feel like this is a burial, right? Not an impugning of Dragunov's ability to stay relevant. I don't think
I'm not saying he isn't, but I'm saying it's not a burial because if everyone that Brock bowed up to and laughed off was buried, you wouldn't have a roster.
Right. But what you're saying also is that, like, if this was enough to bury you, then it wasn't meant to be for you anyway. But we don't.
Correct.
But the wrestler doesn't decide whether they're buried or not. I don't think any wrestler goes out and decides that's enough for me, I'm done.
No, but you do. There is a certain point where, like, how should I put this? If all you had to offer was able to be taken away in 3 seconds by Brock Lesnar, no selling 3 chops in one Royal Rumble. And I'm not saying I'm saying I think much higher of Ilya Dragunov than he can recover from Brock Lesnar laughing at him and bowing up to him. The fact that people think every little thing where if you don't look great is a burial is exhausting to me.
I hear you. I think it's just more of an impugning of the fans than it is of Ilya. Like if you
okay, yeah, I will accept that. I don't think that's where I'm getting at. As I am more annoyed by the discourse of this is a burial than anything else.
And I think the only thing I would push back on is the idea that if this was enough to bury you, then you must not have had it to begin with. I think this is an impugning of the fans, right? If you were behind Ilya and you liked Ilya, and then the point that Brock didn't sell, and now you've turned and been like, oh, well, Ilya's buried now, because Ilya doesn't choose if he's buried. You choose how you respond to him. Unless the company were to decide, oh, well, Ilya, I'm doing my Triple H voice because he's the company guy now, right? Oh, Ilya, you Brock didn't sell, and we didn't like this. We're putting you at the bottom of the card, which is another thing that Ilya does not get to control, right? And then the fans then respond in kind, right? Then my ire would be on the fans. My ire would be on the fans and like, wow, way to be fair weather. Way to really show that you actually don't really care about the wrestlers that you claim to like. You just care about their position on the card. You care about where the company positions them. Because if you think that these wrestlers walk in here and choose their spot, why would anybody choose to be The Miz? Why would anybody choose, you know what I'm saying, to go from being who you were, Ray Phoenix in AEW, to going to where you are in WWE as Ray Phoenix? Because Ray Phoenix
was in the Rumble.
Ray Phoenix went out in 38 seconds.
Aleister Black may as well not work there.
Fair. Look, I'm only pulled Ray Phoenix out because he only lasted 38 seconds in the Rumble. And he was a super duper whooper star with his brother over in AEW. And now his brother is a star and he's kind of like just another luchador. Like, I don't think he chose to do that. He is just one of the pack. He's just one of the pack. And he didn't choose to be that. But no wrestler comes in and chooses their spot on the card. No one actually calls their shot, quote unquote, right? So if he's buried, quote
No, but I
unquote,
think I think there is some onus that if we've seen it enough times, and I'm not saying it's always possible to overcome, but it is possible to overcome. Like if you truly are that good, it will happen. And again, I'm not saying there haven't been deserving people that haven't made it because of creative decisions, or not even deserving, capable people, because who knows who deserves what when we don't know any of the workings and we don't know these people and all that stuff. So I don't want to get into that. But I still am fine with what I said, that from any perspective, how anyone wants to take it. If that buries you, you got to be better. Sorry.
Hey, look, fair enough. Listen, we all have our own opinions, right? And we are all free to disagree. That doesn't mean that we are any less cool. It just means we disagree on something, right? I think Dragon Lee is in a way better spot in his career right now than Ray Phoenix is in his career. I think that
Dragon Lee just gave us one of the greatest memes photos of all time. What a sell!
I have no
for
idea what
Monday.
you're talking about.
We'll get there.
But
You do.
maybe,
But
but
we'll
I
get there.
can't tell off the top of my head right now. But look, Dragon Lee is in a way better spot than Ray Phoenix is currently. I think objectively speaking, both of those men are insanely talented in the ring. I think that neither one of them are insanely talented on the microphone. I think that they are equally as in need of more assistance in that area, right? Dragon Lee went through a period where he was just part of the LWO and he was just another face, right? But he got paired with AJ Styles and that did a whole lot for him. I don't think he and AJ Styles chose that pairing. I think that was something that the company decided to do, right? And he's benefited greatly from that. There are limitations that I believe that the wrestlers just are not able to just walk into the writer's room and exclaim, hey, this is what I want to do. They're not all Sammy Hogan, right? So when you're not Sammy or Roman, because those are the two people who can really do it, right? If you're not Sammy or Roman, you're not going to be afforded the opportunity all the time to really be put in a spot where you can be elevated in such a way, right? I do agree with you that I think there is a portion of that is on the wrestler, right? But this is a pie chart, right? And this pie chart is not weighed solely on the part that is the largest part of the pie. It is just an example of how there are many different variables that fit in different ratios that equal success for a particular person. And those variables can change from person to person, situation to situation, brand to brand, show to show. And it takes the right concoction of these things for them to land the way that they could. You know what I mean? And I think that it doesn't take any onus away from wrestlers, but it does not discredit or remove the fact that there are other mitigating circumstances, right, that can fall into these things. I personally don't think Ilya lost anything from that exchange.
No, I guess my main thing is how preposterous the idea that anyone could be buried by an interaction with Brock Lesnar.
Sure, I think those are ridiculous.
Who has he not at some point no sold for or bowed up to?
Sure.
If he laughed in the face of the Undertaker, kayfabe wise, I'm not sure he can bury Ilya Dragunov. Aside from coming in the ring and he coughs on him and pins him.
Well, and here's the thing. I think too, and this is the last thing I'll say about this, and then we'll move on. I think part of the problem, and this is not directed toward Ilya Dragunov specifically. This is just more so an issue with how the different sections of the card, lower card, mid card, upper card, are really quarantined off with regards to who seems to be able to move between these sections. Part of this problem is that for as much as people like Ilya is currently quarantined in the mid card. Okay. He's quarantined in the mid card. At the mid card, there is how do I want to say it? The mid card seems to be really the place where characters are driven a lot more by how the character archetype is written on paper. You've got way more over the top characters in the mid card. When you get to the upper card, right, you have bigger than life personalities, right? But at the end of the day, Seth Rollins is Seth Rollins. CM Punk is CM Punk. Roman Reigns is Roman Reigns. Brock Lesnar, Brock Lesnar. Like, that's who these people are, right? They're not running around talking about your pain will be their symphony. And like these type of characters, like your Aleister Blacks, and you know what I'm saying? And like your Wyatts. And those people are in the mid card. And I think that when you are forced to buy into these type of comic book aspects of characters, right, within the mid card, you lock yourself into this mindset that these characters are, and I'm getting really into the wrestling weeds here, that they are more powerful than they should come across in the ring. I agree with you that Brock Lesnar and the Ilya Dragunov interaction, in my opinion, there was nothing wrong with it. When I saw that happen, I didn't think a single thing of it. I really didn't, because that's Brock Lesnar and Ilya Dragunov is chopping him. I get what some people are thinking. Maybe if, let's say, you replace Ilya with Gunther, right? That's a great example, actually, too, because they both chop hard as hell, right? And that's what the issue is around the chops and no selling the chops. Gunther is billed at the top of the card. Gunther is billed as a person who chops hard as hell. Gunther is also much bigger than Ilya, right? And so when you're selling this matchup between Gunther and Brock, and Gunther chops Brock, if Brock were to not sell Gunther's chop, I'd have a problem.
I would too. But to bring this back to my earlier point, Gunther, and I get some of this is because of the way the company positioned him afterwards. Gunther had a competitive 20 minutes with a freaking announcer. And, you know, not that, again, I'm sure the buried word was thrown around a lot on the internet back then. I'm sure we even talked about it sometimes. And it's not a decision we agreed with. But because he has been presented in a way and he has worked his way out of that, where I don't think, aside from the fact that I bring it up because it still annoys me, too many people think about that right now when he's the career killer.
Sure. And, well, and listen, sometimes
I think every top guy, like let's think of all the top guys, at some point they've had some stuff that if they weren't good enough could have quote unquote buried them. If Roman Reigns wasn't Roman Reigns, and again, I know there's the chicken and the egg here with the company pushing him, especially with Roman Reigns. If he wasn't as good as he was, does he recover from suffering succotash? Does The Rock recover from die Rocky die and being Rocky Maivia? Like, that's where I get at with, if this truly just like derails your career, then it is what it is. And I don't think that's one of these moments.
So, okay. So
this has gone so much further.
Hey, look, this is what this podcast is.
Yeah.
So I hear you. I definitely think that on a level, you have to have something, something that the company sees as like talent, superstar talent, super duper star talent. I think there are levels to it, right? We have spoke ad nauseum about the idea that, look, Aleister Black is an incredible talent, but he never hits me as that person has it. And what is it?
I think it's different because I think he's doing the shit he wants to do.
Sure, but that's not the point.
I feel like he wants to do this spooky stuff.
Right.
Yeah,
and he is doing that spooky stuff.
I can't even feel bad.
I'm not saying that he doesn't want to do that any more than I'm saying Ilya wants to do what he's doing. That's not the point. The point is, I don't know if Aleister Black has it. And what is it? It is that thing that takes you from superstar to super whooper star. Like, I don't know if he has it. I don't know if the company sees that in him, right? I don't know if they see that in him. And it's not for me to judge, but I'm looking at where you are position-wise on the card. I feel like oftentimes the company sees it and they see, hey, there's something with this guy. The crowd's responding to him in a certain type of way, right? And then they take a chance and they put a little rocket ship to you and see how far you go, right? But at the same time, I also feel like there is a level of, well, let me take that back. I get where you're coming from. I understand the idea that if this situation turned into a downward trajectory for you, the idea that maybe it wasn't going to happen, you becoming that super duper star, I think that is an appropriate statement to make. Is there a
Which I think is
possibility
what I
that-
was trying to convey.
Right, which is why I said it.
Yeah.
If there is an opportunity for you to be something bigger, it is not solely on you with regards to being able to make that happen. The company has to believe in you as well, and they have to be able and willing to tie you into the right storylines to put you in a position to succeed. And listen, despite what not everybody, despite what a lot of people thought about Jey Uso, the company felt some kind of way about him, right? And the fans at large thought some kind of way about him. And so the company decided to go in that direction. And they made that happen. So on one hand, I understand that if this whole situation, which starts from fans, in my opinion, using a term that in and of itself needs to be buried, which is buried. I agree. I will never use that term to describe anything. I think it is overused and overabused. And I think that people who practice in that usage are shoot stupid. I think they're shoot stupid. The fact that you think that you have these insider terms that nobody even uses anymore, and you can apply them to whatever it is that you see on television, as if somehow you don't understand that this product is scripted and written in a certain way, then you know what? Like, fine. Go into your corner of the internet and shout on Twitter about how you think someone's buried. No one cares. So I think that term itself should be buried. But I also feel like if this situation that is stirred up by fans somehow changes the company's perspective on you, that sucks. That genuinely sucks. But it does speak to, in a way, where it is that you currently reside on the card and less about where you could go. I think if you're a mid-carder and the company sours on something that you're doing because of the fans' reaction to something that you had no control over, I don't know. I think that's kind of wild. And on the off chance, and we'll say this and then we'll move on because that's something I want to talk about with regard to the end of this Rumble. If in some off chance that segment between Ilya and Brock was not scripted, then...
Which I have an issue with anyways, because I don't think Brock is, at this point, in the business of going into business for himself.
Sure. But I don't know Brock's mindset, and I'm not trying to judge it. I'm just saying that if in the event that this was unscripted, then if I was WWE, I would have to have a talk with the talent because no one's really supposed to be going off script like that. That would be my only...
for sure.
You know what I'm saying? That would be my only recourse, is that no one should be going off script in that way. So,
which I just don't think so. I just don't think
and maybe it wasn't, but
as
I don't
much anymore.
And maybe it wasn't.
And if it does, we like hear about it immediately.
Sure.
On the internet.
And listen,
and I haven't heard that this was unscripted. I've just seen the reaction to it from fans.
Right. You know, and listen, and for me, until I were to hear something definitively that would make me feel like this was something that was unscripted, my opinion on whether or not I think Brock was doing this intentionally or not, there's nothing to judge. Like, I don't see anything in my opinion that was there to judge. There was nothing that flagged me as thinking, wow, that looked unscripted. Like, this whole thing is predicated off of the assumptions of some people who think that no selling those chops, as if other moves don't get no sold by other acts, is somehow a barrier.
All the time.
Like, come on, man. Like, miss me with that ridiculous bull. Like, it's crazy. And so to give it this much breath, like, is ridiculous. I don't reserve any type of special place in my heart for Brock Lesnar or anyone on the card to run cover in any kind of way. So I don't, I'm not trying to presume what Ilya was thinking. I'm not trying to presume what Brock was thinking. I'm not trying to presume what WWE, Triple H, the people on the writing staff were trying to do. What they're like, the people who operate like that, who are on the dirt sheets all the time and are writing in these little, pockets of the internet. I think it's wild. And I love you. I love you because you are the lifeblood of a lot of podcasts that keep podcasts like ours different. Because we don't operate in that space. And I like the fact that you exist because you help them exist so that we can counter exist. And so keep doing your thing, keep tweeting your rage out and all of your insider terms that don't really belong to you. And we'll continue to be here doing our thing. My last thing that I will say about the Rumble, and then we got 2 other matches on the card, and then we've got some Raw to talk about too, believe it or
Yes,
not.
we do.
I am somewhat torn, not necessarily about Gunther beating Sammy, because I didn't want Sammy to win.
Are you with?
Wait, I'm sorry, I'm tripping.
Yeah, you're out of control.
I'm tripping.
You're out of control. We're in the Rumble. We're melding 2 other matches.
Right. No, wait. Who did Gunther wrestle
here?
earlier on the card? AJ Styles. I'm
Gunther
sorry.
retired AJ Styles.
Hey, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. AJ Styles. That's what I meant. Okay. Sorry. I don't know why Sami Zayn. Sammy Hogan is writing scripts in my brain now. That's crazy. No, so he wrestled AJ Styles earlier. He retired, quote unquote, AJ Styles. We'll talk about that later. But he goes through his match. He retires AJ Styles. Number 30 in the Rumble for the men is Gunther. Why give Gunther this spot? Like, particularly if he's not going to win. If he's not going to win, why give him the number 30 spot? That to me makes 0 sense. He's already had a match on the card. You can give that spot to someone else, particularly when you tell me, and to be clear, Gunther is on Raw, right? Or he's on SmackDown?
He's on Raw.
Okay, he's on Raw.
Because he was there last night.
Yes. Did Finn Balor not ask for a spot? And was he not told that the Rumble was full?
Yes. To be fair, I think that was after Gunther had declared that Finn started asking. Now, Finn's beef is with Mr. Iguana and La Parka, I think, more than Gunther.
Is it? I mean, did he say that?
I think so.
Listen, if your logic is what your logic is, right, that Gunther had already put his name in, then maybe Mr. Iguana and La Parka already put their names in too.
I agree. I think Finn was just shit out of luck.
My issue is what I've had issue with before, and I said this before on our Rumble pre-show. I am just a person who believes that if you are on the Rumble card, you shouldn't be in the Rumble. That's my personal opinion, and it's a personal thing. I don't complain about it, but it's my personal thing. And
I don't.
If Gunther is in the Rumble, he's on the card, right? He's wrestling AJ Styles. He just retired AJ Styles, quote unquote. I think that spot in the Rumble should have gone to someone else, unless you are going to really tell some significant story beat with Gunther. And what did Gunther do? He came into the Rumble, he eliminated Penta, and he eliminated Randy Orton. That's it. So unless you're going to do a program between Gunther and Randy, I don't see why you put Gunther in that 30 spot.
I agree with you. Ultimately, I personally agree with you. I think if you're looking for reasoning and asking me to give you reasoning, I think it fits a little bit with the way they are building career killer Gunther, which, right or wrong, and I think it's working, and we'll get to it on Raw on why specifically I think it's working, is that they're almost making him the, like, oh God, it's this guy just gonna beat everyone and be number 30 again. Like, they're trying to build that reaction so that eventually someone's gonna get that on the other side. And probably Sammy is, again, if we're not careful, because he's done it once, is they're building up Gunther to be so omnipresent and just inevitable that, like, you can cheer for what you want and want what you want, but at the end of the day, Gunther's going to show up and probably win. And I think they wanted to build that as the option opposite Roman.
Sure.
And I'm not saying that was right or smart or that they did anything with it, but I think that's why it gets there, because they do have a history of just kind of gleefully flipping the bird at the fans with the number 30 entrant, like multiple times when it's Big Show and it's the same reaction, like, why?
Yeah.
And it's kind of the same thing here, I think, almost, which I don't love it. I don't think it's necessary either. I wouldn't have had him in the Rumble, but I think that's the path they're taking. And I think that was reinforced by Monday's segment with Gunther.
Yeah, I guess. And listen, Gunther goes right into this program with Dragon Lee, who is, I guess, avenging his friend's retirement.
Yes, which now do you remember the ultimate meme picture I'm talking about?
No.
Yes, Gunther comes out to gloat on Raw after he plays AJ's music. Incredible. Crowd pops, thinking AJ's going to come out there. Gunther comes out, mocks him, does the whole little hand thing almost like AJ. Throws his hands up, AJ's pyro goes up. I love it. He's being as annoying as possible.
I missed all of that. Like,
really?
Yeah, I was so tired when Raw came on. I had to go back and watch the whole segment with Roman and Punk again, because when I saw a clip on YouTube before I got on today, and they were talking about some stuff that I didn't even remember them talking about. And I was like, when did that happen? Was this like an edited version on Netflix? And so I went back and watched it, and I was like, yo, I don't remember any of this like first part of this promo. And I was so sleepy, dude. So that's on me.
So yeah, they hit AJ's music. Crowd goes up, crowd pops. Then Gunther comes out, he ducks his head down with the same, what I can only describe as, with the same sass that he did the "you can't see me" to AJ.
Sure.
He like wiggles around and gets in that AJ pose where his arms are out and throws his arms up, and AJ's pyro goes off, and he's just laughing down to the ring, and we get very loud and audible "fuck you, Gunther" chants. Which is why I think this is working, because I think that's what they're trying to build with like stuff at 30 in the Rumble and doing this is just utter contempt, which is sometimes hard to do in an era where everyone knows so much and you have shows like Unreal. Like, how do you actually make people dislike a bad guy when we know these are people playing characters and not really trying to end their former friend's career and turning on him and things like that? And I'm not saying it's ultimately the right move, but you make someone just their presence so contemptible and groan-inducing and annoying that eventually, after you're like, oh, here's Gunther again, bet they have him win. Yep, there goes Gunther winning again. That when he eventually doesn't win, the ecstasy people feel in response is high. But I thought that segment works. But yeah, Dragon Lee comes out to avenge his former tag team partner, former tag team champion partner, and he gets choked out for his troubles. And Gunther holds him over the ropes and has him in a sleeper. And Dragon Lee is just hanging there.
Yeah.
And I don't know how they did this, but yeah, Dragon Lee's body is just lifeless as Gunther holds him in over the rope. And it's just a fantastic picture in and of itself. I thought that sell by Dragon Lee was awesome.
Yeah, it definitely was. It definitely was. I definitely saw that. And I mean, that's part of the reason why I kind of feel like the Gunther number 30 spot was how
he looked so lifeless.
Yeah, listen.
And like how they did that. Like, how else are they doing that other than Gunther's just legit holding him up by his head?
Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, listen, it was a good angle, and we'll go through this program with Dragon Lee until, maybe through Elimination Chamber, and unless Gunther
I think it'll just be a match on Raw.
Oh, but maybe. You're probably right, because I mean, Gunther may very well be in the Elimination Chamber. So, there is that. But so let me ask you one more question about the Rumble. So who do you think was under the hood that took out Braun Breaker before he even got into the match?
If I have, so are you asking me physically who was there, or who is?
I'm asking you physically who you think that was, because I think I have an idea of who it is.
Well, I think they're the same person. So
wait, hold on, I'm confused.
I think the person under the mask is who will be revealed to have been under the mask. I don't think they used a.
Oh no! I'm with you there.
Yeah, that's what I was. I was just getting at that, then just to pull the rug and say I don't think.
So who do you think it is?
I still think it's Theory. I think it makes the most sense.
I'm looking at this picture, the still shot of him.
The eyes are different.
No, I'm not even looking at the eyes, dude. I'm looking at the frame of his body. You know who it looks like to me? It looks like Logan Paul.
Okay.
It looks like Logan Paul.
The eye color's different though for Logan Paul.
Dude, I have no idea. I'm not looking.
I know. I don't either. But I think Logan Paul would be interesting.
I'm wondering if all of this is Seth.
Yeah.
Not Seth under the hood, but like.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
Austin Theory and Logan Paul all joined the Vision after the defection. Logan was the first one. You know what I'm saying? And then Austin Theory was the second. And it would be crazy if Seth shows up, right, at some point and you've got the Vision standing there, and then Logan Paul and Austin Theory defect from the Vision over to Seth, and you come to find out that Seth was behind this the entire time. Maybe even Heyman too. And this is all going to turn into a massive beatdown session on Braun Breaker.
Very well could be.
Turn Braun Breaker face in the best way possible.
It's going to happen at some point.
Oh, agreed.
It's going to happen at some point.
Agreed, for sure.
He's just inevitably, he's too good at his job to be a heel forever.
So let's get to Raw, okay? And we're gonna rapid fire some of this, but all of this was really good. So we've already talked about Oba going nuts ham sandwich on this show. Let's not bury the lead here, okay? So the crowning achievement of this show is Roman Reigns and CM Punk at the end of this show.
Shoo, boy. Yeah.
Roman comes out to, thunderous applause per usual. And he's cutting a promo and he's talking about his history with Philly. And Skeena and I were there for some of this history in Philly, particularly when he lost the championship. And now he's back. And he wants Philly to help him decide who it is that he should challenge at WrestleMania for their title, Drew or Punk. Before he can get Philly's way in, Punk shows up. What commences is a really, really solid promo battle between the two of them. If there was any doubt as to what was going to be the main event of night 2, that has been quelled with this one promo. Punk begins, I believe, because I just watched this whole part before the show because I apparently was too asleep to remember it. Punk begins right with asking Roman who he was going to pick and that he was going to wait for Philly to decide. I think that's wrong. I think they started somewhere else. Oh, he started with calling out Finn. He started with calling out Finn, telling Finn that he was gonna that him and Finn were gonna see each other, and that he was gonna show Finn how scary he could be. And then Roman retorts back with, "You're encroaching on my time, and you're talking about somebody else." Punk responds with something about like, "He's the champion. This is Raw. It's on Netflix. You're on his show." And then Punk proceeds to let Roman know that he's the best in the world. That he saw Roman on Pat McAfee's podcast, and he was talking about how he takes these sabbaticals away from WWE to let other talent have the spotlight, and that no one's really stepped up.
Yes, we didn't get a show to talk about that, but the fact that people watched that and could not understand, this is Roman Reigns working. Saying this.
These are probably the same people.
I mean, I know.
That were saying that Brock buried Ilya.
Yes.
Like, you need these people. They're the ones who go to the show and boo.
They do. What else am I otherwise, like, I am too blessed and too lucky. Like, what else am I going to be angry at in life other than this? Like,
listen, there's a lot outside of wrestling to be angry at. This is one of the least important things.
There is.
Shout out to Simon Miller for that.
Yeah.
But so he's obviously working, and this tees up Punk to then talk about how you take these sabbaticals. I choose to go to 10 different countries in how many days, and that he's wrestling for the people and that he's here. Roman retorts with, "I would be like that too if I took 10 years off. I'd be trying to get it in too." And then he goes on to say, "I've had to be in this business here in this company and work as hard as I had to because you decided to leave. You decided to go on your friend's podcast.
10-year vacation.
After your 10-year vacation and make this job way harder for me than it needed to be."
Ooh, nothing but facts.
Punk responds with, he might have said this earlier, but he was talking about how everything that you did with the bloodline, you copied from me.
Yeah, learn from the best.
You learned from the best. I did this first.
Title reign with Paul at his side. Just because you did it longer doesn't mean you did it better. And then Roman pretty much finishes this up by saying,
You say I could pick an easy pick with Drew, but I'm picking you not because you're on Netflix, not because this is the A show. I'm picking you because I hate you. I've always hated you. And WrestleMania main event will be the best night of my life because when I beat you, you will acknowledge me. Now, listen, I did not do that promo justice. You should watch it for yourself if you haven't seen it because it was indeed magnifique and you should
It
hear it
was
for yourself.
worthy of closing this show. Of This
Absolutely.
segment was every bit of a main event segment.
Yes. And listen,
This is the non-wrestling side of wrestling at its absolute best.
oh, for sure. Listen, CM Punk is, in my opinion, world class on the microphone when it comes to
You're
cutting
going
these
right where
promos.
I was going to go here. Yep.
He's world class in this. And it's really great because over the years, we have seen Roman level up. He has leveled up from his succotash days. And we've all seen it. We've watched it in real time. And now he's in his space where he is very comfortable. He's very good at what he does. He doesn't get flustered the way he used to, right? And he owns the ring. So to see him now standing one-on-one, face-to-face with arguably the best in the world in the ring on this microphone, to quote Punk, and to have him standing across the ring and for it to be such great landing haymakers on both sides with no person feeling like they were outclassed, no person feeling like they were out of place. And it just worked. It's going to be really fun to watch this build up through to WrestleMania. I genuinely look forward to really interesting promo segments. There's definitely going to be some backstage sit down because of what we've seen over the last few years. I definitely think we're going to have some really cool interaction between them at the whatever the little WrestleMania announcement show is. You remember the thing they did a couple years ago?
Yeah, they whatever.
It's like a
The little
separate
press
show that they
conference thing.
have.
Yeah.
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 That's going to be really fun to watch. I mean, this is just going to be great. Skeener, your thoughts on this promo, sir?
I mean, I already said it. This is wrestling at its best for me. Like I was enthralled. Like this was good enough that like when it started, I was sitting at my desk watching on my computer and I had to be like, no. Close the laptop, went to the couch, turn it on the TV and put it on the TV because I'm like, this is worthy. Like I'm moving. I'm watching this on the TV. And yeah, I mean everything you said from just these two guys going at it and just they're both so good at promos that it doesn't sound like a promo almost like you truly can lose yourself and believe that this is just who we know as CM Punk. Like this is just him talking. This is what he would say. This is not a wrestling promo. This is this Roman Reigns guy that we know. This is what he would say and how he talks. And they're both so good at that. And just because we haven't had it in longer, like the Roman parts resonate with me more because we don't get it like every week like we used to.
Yeah.
But you forget, like, even though in your mind you're like, yeah, that was great. I remember that stuff. Like, just to have it back is just so nice. And
Yeah.
just the way he's evolved, and like, you're like, and they both do it so well. Just they're so good that it doesn't seem like a promo, I guess. Like it's just talking and the natural inflection. Like when Roman goes from "You almost had me confused. What did we say? Z boys or some shit." Like that's just how someone would talk and like the reactions that elicits. It's just I could wax poetic about every line both of them said forever because
Yeah.
this was this A plus 10 out of 10 doesn't get better. No notes.
Yeah. No, I'm
Like
with you, dude.
incredible.
I'm with you. 10 out of 10 would recommend for sure. Like this was
If you
top
haven't
notch.
seen it, you have to go watch
Do
it.
yourself a favor. Do
Yeah.
yourself a favor and go watch this. So
And they get this real history to play on that I was wondering when they were going to bring it up because they couldn't shy away from it, but like right away. And I think the way they did it was good. It works with the Roman Reigns character. it works because it's probably very true. Like the things Punk went on Colt Cabana's podcast and said 13, maybe, no, probably a little over 12 years ago, 12, 13 years, doesn't matter. When he went on that podcast and essentially got the worst and most impressionable wrestling fans that worshipped CM Punk at that time to direct their ire at Roman Reigns, it did make his life harder than it ever should have been. Which is why it's fun and great to hear him say that. And it just injecting that little bit of reality is always great. And I think these two guys are the best at like towing that line, and that it never goes too far over to like, okay, now it's a little corny. We're just shooting to shoot and be shocking. Like it toes that line in such a great way.
Yeah. So did he say anything on Colt Cabana's podcast about Roman outside of the fact that when he put together the Shield, he originally wanted Chris Hero on the team and WWE wanted Roman?
It was that, and then he was like mockingly talking about the direction he would get in all their matches, and that saying the office is like, and he'd be like, I make sure Roman looks strong, I make sure Roman looks strong, and he kind of insinuated that Roman was not deserving of being made to look strong in their matches. And yeah, he made him see, he was the one that, regardless of whether or not it was true, stoked the fires of the rejecting the company's chosen one thing.
You think so?
It was him in a Dave Meltzer report, yes. Because I remember the turning of the sentiment when it was, hey, we really like this Roman Reigns guy, this explosive guy that's in the Shield that looks cool and does the spear and cocks his fist for a hammer. And then, yes, this podcast came out and a Dave Meltzer report after it came out that said, looks like Roman Reigns is the company's chosen one. Then it like nearly immediately shifted. It was around SummerSlam 20, what was that? Whatever year Punk left, 2014? Because Roman was popular through that WrestleMania. And then that SummerSlam, it just shifted on a dime.
So do you think that accelerated what was going to happen, or do you think that it caused what was going to happen? Because those are two very different things.
Okay, both. Because it always happens anyways. No matter who you are, if you win long enough, the crowd will hate you. That's just how wrestling goes. But I think there are people that did like Roman that probably wouldn't have turned so hard immediately did. So a little bit of both, which I know is not the clarity you were looking for. But I remember it at that time being so sudden that I can say it did cause some of it. I do legitimately think what Roman said, that it made his life harder than it needed to be. However much you play your world's smallest violin for that is true. I think the direct cause of some of the immediate resentment of early Roman Reigns was CM Punk's shoot interview on Colt Cabana's podcast.
Okay, so here's my only retort to that, right? I kind of feel like you have different sets of wrestling fans, and I don't feel like they're influenced by one another. I think that the people who were listening to the Colt Cabana podcast, the people who would tune into Dave Meltzer, right? They're the same type of people who believe that Ilya was buried by Brock because Brock no sold chops. I think those people may have been accelerated into a sense of rejection to Roman, right? In a way that they were prone to probably going to do anyway. But I don't feel like all of the audience followed their lead. I don't think that the wrestling fans are as gullible to other wrestling fans as they are to their own eyes and ears, right? There were Cena fans
which is why I said both. But I think there is a subset that,
oh, for sure,
because CM Punk was such the anti-hero and martyr after he walked out of WWE, and then months later he does this podcast interview and he had his, pun intended, cult of personality that he garnered, that there were a significant portion of the most insufferable wrestling fans that listened to that and said, "Oh, CM Punk doesn't like this guy and doesn't co-sign this guy. I'm going to vocally and vociferously hate him now." I
Yeah.
truly, in my heart of hearts, believe that.
Oh, I don't. I
That there
believe
is
you
an
too.
appreciable segment that happened.
I believe you too. But I also think that that is also the most obvious thing in the entire world. That there are people who are so gullible and so marked out in professional wrestling that they get sucked into the stupidest crap imaginable. They're the same Ilya Dragunov, Brock Lesnar people we were talking about earlier, right? I think that that is a
Correct.
very foregone conclusion. But I also think because it's so foregone conclusion, it's also negligible. Because the majority of wrestling fans are not watching Colt Cabana, listening to Colt Cabana's podcast, right? They don't give a shit about what Dave Meltzer is saying, right? They're showing up to the shows. Most of the people who show up to these shows are not the people who are frequenting these dark corners of the internet. Like, I'm not saying this subset of people don't exist.
They are the people that probably sent him horrible things on social media and
Sure.
commented horrible things.
Absolutely.
And were the loud ones at house shows that yelled horrible things at him. So, like, I think that's what he's referencing.
Sure. And listen, I don't disagree.
But yes, some of the rejection, was it all based on that? No. But I think I think it happened a lot sooner because there was already a precedent set for, even if small and in some cases negligible, an amount of the audience that immediately rejects what they were told that they were being force fed before they would have recognized otherwise. I think
I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. I think that requires this assumption that these people would not have picked up on it as soon as they did, had it not been for other people influencing them to think a certain way.
Yes, that correct. That is an assumption I'm making, that a certain part of this leads to people. Then there's a subset of people that look to other fans they feel may be smarter and more in the know and are then impressionable to the point that, oh, he's hating him, so there must be a good reason to hate him, so I will hate him. And I think it snowballs. I don't think it's all because of that, but I think having the snowball kind of rolled up already made it easy to get pushed down that hill.
I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. And I guess, and look, because I understand it, I understand where that's coming from, and I'm not negating it in any way or saying that does not exist by what it is I'm about to say. But though those people exist, I can only speak for myself and not speak for other people, right? For me, the people who think that way are so negligible to my perspective as a lay wrestling fan, right? Who does not dive into the dirt sheets, who did not listen to the Colt Cabana podcast, who, who did not follow Dave Meltzer and the Wrestling Observer newsletter, despite the fact that I host a podcast now, right? I don't dive that deeply into professional wrestling and the annals of the professional wrestling dark corners, smoke-filled rooms, right? That some of these people delve into. So for me, I was not one of those people who listened to that stuff, nor did my opinion of Roman Reigns somehow get egged on by the vocal, portion of people who felt that type of way. Like I didn't. And that's only, and I'm not saying that as an anecdote for myself, right? So I'm not trying to say that that's a representation of any other listener other than myself. But I would think that there are people who are in that corner of the internet, that there are also people like myself, right? Who paid no attention to those men behind the curtain. And, they watch wrestling on their own terms independently. And they gained their sentiment of what they thought of Roman Reigns and that big dog persona over time because of the fact that he was in almost every single main event. And he was in every single PLE. And at the time, no, he wasn't that great on the microphone. And yes, it did seem like he was being force fed to us because indeed the company was pushing him. Like, You know what I'm saying? Like there is
Yeah, which
truth
which
to it.
was which was again that culminated well after. I think, yeah, I just so specifically remember the sentiment turning, and I was way more in tune with the smarky side of the internet in
Sure, sure.
2013 and 2014 than I care to be now. So that's probably why I have a more vivid memory of it.
Of course.
I was just about to kick the dirty habit at that point. I
Yeah.
think I was beginning recovery from being a smark in 2014. So, yeah, I probably have a more vivid memory of this. But I remember it was Roman that SummerSlam wrestled Randy Orton, and it was an awesome match, and everyone loved it. And then the Punk interview dropped, and then it was like a lot of people were like, "Actually, no, this dude sucks."
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? If you really think about it, if you thought, and this, mind you say everybody, right? We obviously understand that doesn't mean literally everybody. I would venture to think that the people who had their minds changed by the Colt Cabana podcast didn't like Roman to begin with. That will be my position, because then I'd have to let myself believe that somebody liked Roman Reigns, listened to that podcast, and was like, oh, you know what? He sucks. And if that's the case, like, what in the world? Like, are you human? Like, do you have a brain that works? Does it function on its own, independently from a plug in the wall? I'm curious. Like, do you download your entire conscious from the internet or just some of it? Because how now, brown cow, how do you watch something like it, right? And then hear the position of an inside perspective. And I guess you think to yourself, well, I thought that he was getting over because he was organic, but the company is pushing him. The company is behind him and want him to be the next big guy. I don't like that. Really? I mean, okay.
I mean, I truly believe there are people out there
Oh, I believe
that
you.
operate
1,000,000%.
that way, which is sad. And I think that's indicative of every fandom. I know, you know, there are people out there that like watch a movie and TV show and like really enjoy it, and then they see some, for lack of a better term, smarky review that's like, well, here's why it's bad, and they're like, you know what, actually, that did suck.
Oh,
I'm
for
gonna be smarter than
sure.
everyone and talk about why I hate this popular thing.
For sure. I can totally understand that. I can totally understand it. And I can understand too the idea that in a live performance medium, right, where boos and cheers are not curated to an extent, right, by WWE, the fans can kind of respond as they wish, that you can see the Rotten Tomato effect happen
Yeah,
in much more vivid real time
yeah. Was
than you
Roman the
do with
first guy to
with
get review
movies.
bombed?
You said, was he?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Was
I
it
don't know if he
was this
was.
early internet review bombing?
Hell no. Roman early internet? No. No. The internet was
You
way
know what I
before
mean.
Roman. Um,
Was review bombing a thing before then, though?
yeah, they did it all the time in the movies.
Well, yeah, but that's what I mean. But it's way more popular now.
I think it's probably much more prevalent because I think people are maybe cognizant of it
All
more.
right, all right. I see the first appearance. This is according to Wikipedia. The first appearance people can find a review bombing was 2008. So this is still early stage review bombing of Roman. I'll say
Sure. I mean,
it's still a
sure.
new it was a new concept. Just another thing our tribal chief helped pioneer.
Well, review bombing?
Yep. Look, it's
Sure.
not all good, but you know about it.
Listen, I will say this, unless I think that, and I'll say this, and then we'll grab a few more segments and we'll wrap this up. But I definitely think that there are people who genuinely give far too much energy and far too much credence to the opinions of others. I would encourage everyone to recognize how opinions shape our own and make sure you understand that so you can differentiate your own opinion from the voices of others. Like, do yourself a solid. And it's difficult to do sometimes if you really don't invest your time and your energy in recognizing that the melding of your perspective and someone else's can be very much done via osmosis, via, unconscious, receiving of these things. And you need to develop your own opinions on a subject matter, right? To be fair, even in all that, Punk's statements on the Colt Cabana podcast was not giving people an opinion. They took that and formulated an opinion that's rooted in the idea that if the company is pushing you, I don't like it.
Yes.
Look, I think that is fair if you feel that way. If you feel like someone's not getting over organically. If I didn't know and I felt like he was getting over organically, I'd be cool. But the fact that I feel like I'm being played because the company is getting him over instead of it happening organically, and I don't like that. That's very much fair. I caution you, however. I caution you, however, in watching this medium we call professional wrestling, because I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Most of these people aren't getting themselves over without the company pushing it. Like, I know this was many years ago, and I hope there's a lot of people who've woken up, right? Because they don't get swayed as much by the likes of Dave Meltzer. You know what I'm saying? But then again, to be fair, they probably woke up to Dave Meltzer via the opinions of other people. They probably woke up to being like, you know what? I don't like this Dave Meltzer guy because nobody in wrestling likes him, because they've heard other people making those statements too. And they probably absorbed those opinions and changed their minds too. It's why they carry such disdain. That's why they carry such disdain, because those opinions were influenced by others and they haven't given themselves the opportunity to really explore their own feelings independently of other people's. But fair is fair. And so I would just advise you, as listeners of this podcast, a Skeener and myself, right, who I consider us to be independent thinkers, to think for yourself. Watch the product, engage with it, like what you like, don't like what you don't like. Skeener will never make me just like Nia Jax. I'm sorry. It ain't gonna happen.
It's coming. And if you can't form your own opinion, adopt mine or Everson's. That's probably your best. That's probably your best shot if you can't do your own. So
at least it'll be balanced. At least it'll be balanced. And you know, that's saying a lot these days. So I want to touch on a couple things before we wrap up, because we've been running long tonight.
We veered off the path today, but we explored.
We did. So your thoughts real quick on Raquel Rodriguez losing this street fight to Stephanie Vaquer.
That summarily gives my thoughts. I thought this was the time to do it, and we'll see where they go. I liked all the Judgment Day stuff they built, and I liked the, we get Dom back, and we get a little Liv shine in the segment. Raquel comes out, wants to address the elephant in the room that is Liv, unceremoniously dumping her out of the Royal Rumble. Liv kind of tries to brush it off, shake it off, move past it. Raquel sends her to the back for her match. I like that Liv ignores that and comes back out, tries to get involved, essentially throws the banana peel out there for Raquel to slip on. Then when Roxanne comes out and is distracting Stephanie, that's when I knew, yay, Raquel's winning the title.
Yeah.
And then she didn't. And I was like, oh, okay. So I didn't, as of now, dislike review bombing it by myself. But I will give the grace I always do, which is, let's see where it goes. Let's see how they go. But man, I just thought with Liv winning the Rumble, the tension in the Judgment Day already, this is the time to to give Raquel the title, but we didn't. So we'll see where we go. But it was, my instant reaction was, ugh.
That's what was mine,
because
too.
I was really rooting for Raquel.
That was
Granted,
mine,
we got new music and a new entrance for Stephanie, which
didn't
is
like
cool.
it. I did not like it. No.
So
I think she went from WWE 2K25 music, right, to WWE 2K23 music.
It's also not, it's not. I liked the pyro and her coming up and the way they did the horns on the screen. Talked to one of my buddies or posed him this question, and I'll pose it to you. And if you don't want to touch it, that's fine. And with pun intended with what's coming. How long does the new gear for Stephanie last?
You talking like what she wrestled in tonight? Or wrestling in on Monday?
Yeah.
I think that was just for the street fight.
Okay, that's what my buddy said. I was like, oh, so this is like when people wear jeans for the street fight, but she wore
Yeah, yeah,
leggings
yeah.
that with jeans painted on them, essentially.
Yeah, I think
Okay,
that's just I think that was just for the street fight. They always wear, jeans or pants or
okay. Okay.
something like
That's
that.
what he thought too. Because my immediate thought was like, let's not ignore it. A big part of the gimmick and the appeal
Yes,
is
is
her gear.
the bottom half of
Is
her
her
gear.
gear and yes, and how it fits and what it accentuates. So I was thinking like, okay, new entrance, new gear, probably not gonna last long. But yeah.
No, that ain't. No, I think that's just for the match. I think that
Okay.
the entrance music is temporary. I'm sorry. I think the entrance music is a regression because I don't think that her music was that great to begin with.
I thought it was better, but I also at first like I had to discern. It's not a noticeable step one way or the other to me.
I
But
think it's
when
a noticeable step in
I
the other
heard
direction.
I heard it and rewound it and was like, okay, this is okay. I think it's a miss because it's still with what you're getting at sounds super generic.
Yeah, it sounds very generic, and I think that this one it doesn't even sound as punchy as the original one. So it's like you have to listen harder to hear where the beat is going. And I mean, I'm no expert.
Maybe that's because I went back 30 seconds and did listen harder.
Well, and that's the thing, right? I'm no expert, right? But like I was a musician for 10 years. Like my world was music and audio, and I still love music, though I'm not the audiophile I used to be, right? But the music did not have any punch. It did not have any sway.
Yeah.
There was nothing
that's what it's lacking is just
it's nothing that hooks you. It's nothing that
yes.
hooks you. It's generic creator wrestler music.
If you were a casual fan that watched sometimes, you would not, which is the important part in a lot of these wrestling themes, know quickly that this is Stephanie Vaquer.
No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't. I think her other music had at least more punch to it. You could catch the drum beat very quickly, and your downbeats very quickly. And because you could catch those very quickly, at least you could identify the rhythm and the cadence, right? There was more variability between your high notes and your low notes. And that's what tonally, sonically, your ear resonates with. Before you ever start hearing exactly what the music sounds like, you pick up those tones and those sonics. This new music has less of that. It's more flat. And because it's more flat, it's less recognizable. And that's why I liken it to a earlier year of WWE 2K, because I just assume the idea that as you go further back, the music gets worse, right? With the creative generics.
Whoever wrote this article that I'm on right now, when I was Googling around about it, agrees with you. This gentleman on Bleacher Report gave several thousand thumbs down to the new music and said it adversely affected her aura.
I don't disagree.
Which I believe is a bad thing.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Or Riz, that's all the stuff the kids talk about.
Several thousand thumbs down. That is a review bomb right there.
Listen, it ain't wrong.
If you got several thousand.
It ain't wrong. It ain't wrong. You don't need to read that to understand that. Like, it's not as good. It's not as good. I think it's a bad choice.
Result of the match was blah to me, but the other Judgment Day stuff, very good.
I think that they're going to, at this point, I think that you're not going to get a world champion Raquel Rodriguez until the summer. I think if you don't pull the trigger now, and I'm not saying that I thought this was the perfect spot, but I think it's around the right time. But if Liv Morgan wins the Rumble, which she did, and you don't put the title on Raquel now, I think what you end up happening is Raquel gets into the Elimination Chamber, right? And she doesn't win that either. I think that you have the world title match be between Liv Morgan, Stephanie Vaquer at WrestleMania. I think Liv Morgan beats Stephanie Vaquer, wins the title. I think Raquel wins Money in the Bank. I think she wins Money in the Bank. And she cashes in on Liv.
Also makes perfect sense.
You know what I mean? Because if you don't do it now,
but then where do you think Liv goes for Mania?
I mean, who does she wrestle at Mania?
Yeah.
I think she wrestles Stephanie Vaquer.
And beats Stephanie?
Absolutely.
Okay,
yeah. Because we didn't touch the women, we didn't touch the WWE Women's Championship, right? So we're going to go through a program between Jade currently and Jordan Grace, but I don't think that's going to go through to WrestleMania. I think that you have the women's elimination chamber. I think the winner of the women's elimination chamber is going to be the person that's going to be challenging Jade at WrestleMania. So we're not going to touch the world championship until Mania, where I think Liv beats her probably night one.
Well, if that's the case, then we need to prepare ourselves to talk about how we hope they're going to do Jade Tiffany better this time, because I don't see anything else that it would be at this point.
Unless Bianca gets ready, unless Bianca is ready to debut, come back at Elimination Chamber, or you know what you could do, and this is very random, but what you could do is you could pull a Becky Lynch to Bianca Belair a few years ago at Mania, where Jade has eliminated her competition. She shows up at Mania, you know what I'm saying? And she's like, who's going to challenge me? And then Bianca's music hits, and Bianca comes out and she challenges Jade and beats her for the championship. I mean, it's just something, you know what I mean? But I do think with regards to the Women's World Championship, I have very little doubt in my mind at this point that Liv is not going to be the world champion by WrestleMania's end. And then she carries it through a decent portion of the summer until Raquel wins Money in the Bank. And then Raquel probably cashes in on her around SummerSlam or somewhere around July.
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Especially if they keep doing stuff as good as they have been. The interaction on Monday I thought was perfect.
I agree.
And just because I was impatient doesn't mean it needs to be blown off now.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Oh, by the way, I think. Oh, never mind. I'm looking at this picture of Gunther with Dragon Lee in this headlock hanging across the rope.
That's a fantastic image.
Yeah, I don't see how they fake this unless he's just holding.
Like he's just, and like even that's a picture, but like he was just that limp.
Yeah.
Like props to Dragon Lee for that.
Yeah.
It's little things that just almost live forever in wrestling. Like
mad talent.
I will remember that forever. Like just how well he sold that.
For sure. Look, mad talent, strong neck, and listen.
Yeah, because he is just holding him up by his head.
He absolutely is. Last thing, real quick. LA Knight not letting the Vision breathe whatsoever. Just hit and run guerrilla style attacks all night. Braun Breaker is furious at the start of Raw, flipping tables and whatnot. And Austin Theory gets a shellacking from a chair by LA Knight. Later on, it looks like Bronson Reed was wrestling Penta, and LA Knight shows up with the BFT, causes him to not be able to meet the count of 10, and Penta wins by count out. So, LA Knight is back and he's ready to reap his vengeance on the Vision. We'll see where this goes. I genuinely have no idea because we still have the mystery hooded person as well within this Vision storyline.
Who nobody knows who it is. Paul Heyman asked Adam Pearce because he had to personally approve the visas of everyone that went to Saudi Arabia. Which I don't believe Adam Pearce is the guy that does that for any government, but maybe he is.
According to him, he probably approves all the wrestlers to go and get their visas. Right. So he's got a list of the people who he sends to go get visas, which if you want to buy into that story at all, just for storyline's sake, I think it's Logan Paul because he was already there.
Right. Because I was going to say, is that a breadcrumb?
It doesn't seem like
someone that wouldn't raise any eyebrows.
Right.
That was already there.
Right. He didn't sign this. He had
no
the
extras.
Sheet. He sent it over. Yeah, there were no extras on that list. That would have been a masked man, right? So, it's somebody it's somebody somebody in your crew. And listen, I would love that. I would just love that as a person who loves a nice swerve, right? To have this whole thing be the machinations of Seth. You know what I mean? And it's like he's been playing you, Braun Breaker, the entire time. If that was me, I would love to see this turn into this thing where we hint back at little clues that we've been dropping the entire time, right? Where back when Bronson Reed first came into the Vision, right? He was the next person to come after Braun Breaker, right? Braun Breaker was always the person who looked like he was not in the know about what was happening, right? And I think that when you get this angle where obviously Seth hurts himself, but let's wrap this into the lore, where Breaker turns on Rollins, right? I would love for at the end of the day, all of this turn out to be a plot by Seth, and that every single person in the Vision besides Braun Breaker is in on it. You know what I'm saying? And when Breaker turned on him, Seth changed the plot. And you come to find out that, nah, Logan's not on your side. Theory's not on your side. Hell, Paul's not on your side. And neither is Bronson Reed. They were all Seth's guys the entire time. Then you had this wild dog off his leash. Great storyline going for Seth versus Breaker. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'd like all that. We gotta, all of this is still so really unclear because nobody knows what the Seth timetable is.
Right. It's all in the air. It's all up in the air. So we'll just have to wait and see at the famous line. We'll just have to wait and see. But hey, listen, the Royal Rumble is always something that gives us a lot to talk about. And this one certainly did not disappoint. So, you know, if you guys enjoyed the Royal Rumble, if you had just as many thoughts as Skeena and I had, I need you guys to do what Skeena is about to tell you to do, because it is imperative that we hear from you all and get your feedback on this episode that we've recorded today on the Royal Rumble, on Raw. Any of your thoughts for what is building the road to WrestleMania. We are laying down the golden bricks of the road that is heading to Las Vegas. So let us know what you're thinking. Skeena, please let them know where they can jot their thoughts down and give them to us.
I'm going to send out a plea. Please, everyone, send us an email.
Please.
At thelariatlounge@gmail.com. We didn't even get to touch on AJ Styles' retirement. So why don't one of you reach out to us? Let us know what you thought about that match, what you think about AJ's retirement, if he's really retired. Some people are asking those questions. Someone send us some thoughts. We'll lead off the next episode with it. How about that?
Absolutely.
So please, I know we got one email coming. Please, someone else break that seal. Open the inbox, and we will get it read and sorted out right at the top of the next show if you send it in. So Let us know. You're going to hear that episode as you do every other episode, once a week, every week, wherever you get your podcast. The Lariat Lounge is on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, wherever else you get your shows. That's where we're sent out to. And give us a follow on Instagram at the Lariat Lounge Podcast.
Thank you guys for tuning in and checking us out. Please, wherever you're listening, whether it's on YouTube, you're listening to the podcast, whether you're on any of those outlets where we are, or if you're watching this, the videos on demand from the live streams, please like us, subscribe us, or give us a like rating wherever it is that you're at. Small free things for you, but for us, it genuinely means the world. Listen, I'm looking forward to those emails that are coming, and let us know what you think about AJ Styles. Is he retired? My guess is I don't think he really is. I think he's done with WWE.
The glove stayed on.
The glove stayed on. We'll talk about that at the top of next week's episode. But please let us know what you're thinking. We'll wait for you guys to come back. From your host, Everson Godfrey, co-host Andrew Skeens, this has been another edition of the Lariat Lounge. Please watch yourself on the way out.